All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order, July 27th, 2023, Town Planning and Zoning Commission. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the June 22nd, 2023 meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
You can second that.
Been moved in second. Any discussions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I abstain. I wasn't here.
All right, thank you. And the chair votes aye. Okay, first item on the agenda is a continuation of a public hearing. I'll read this application. Public hearing regarding a text amendment to the Bloomfield zoning regulations to create a new section 6.13, accessory renewable energy structures for residential uses. This new section will provide requirements and standards for the installation of building mounted solar panels, freestanding solar panels, and parking lot canopy solar panels. Justin, is there anyone here for that application?
So that is a town-initiated text amendment. Due to the length of the agenda, and since there's no real urgency with that one, I would suggest we table that one for this meeting and revisit it at the next month's when there's fewer applications.
Okay,
So I'll make that motion and to move to table public
I'll
hearing
second
for the next amendment.
I'll second that.
it's been moved in second. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Oppose, abstention, chair votes aye, table that to the next meeting. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing also. This is a new application. And I'll read the legal notice on this. Legal notice was published July 14th and July 22nd in the Hartford Current. Notice is hereby given that the Town Planning and Zoning Commission will hold its regular meeting virtually via Zoom on Thursday, July 27th, 2023 to consider the following. Special permit application from Randy Ashley for approval to open and operate a motor vehicle repair shop at property located at 31 Toby Road, Unit 13 in an I-1 zone. Owner, 31 Toby Road LTD. Is there anyone here for that, Justin?
We have quite a few attendees. If you're here for this application, could you raise your hand for me? That way I can allow you to speak and be a panelist.
Well, while we're looking for him, let me just explain to the audience the procedures for public hearings. The public hearings will start out with a presentation by the application. The next item will be comments by the Director of Planning and Zoning. Then we'll take questions from the audience, questions from the commission, comments by the audience, comments from the commission, and then the applicant will have a last chance for any closing remarks before we close out the application. So if there's someone here,
Yep, they are now in attendance.
alrighty.
Would you like me to give a little background, Mr. Chairman?
Well, I thought the applicant was going to present.
Hello, everyone. My name is Randy.
Okay.
You can hear me?
Yes, are you presenting this application?
I'm the applicant.
Yes.
I'm Randy Ashley.
Okay. All right, you can present your application to the commission. Let us know what you plan on doing or what you would like to do.
Okay, so first, I always wanted to be a mechanic since I was young. I went to tech school, which I graduated in 2000. I went to tech school in 2007, graduated in 2008. I worked at a few dealerships. In the past I have basically 10 plus years of being in the field. So I've been in the field for a long time. And I always wanted to own my own shop. So I've been working at different places, getting the ins and outs of being a mechanic and possibly having your own shop. So right now I'm at the point of getting, going through the proper procedures to, own my own shop, general repair shop. That's what I want to do.
Okay, all right, thank you, Randy.
You're very welcome.
Justin, now
Yes.
you can comment on that.
Sure. So this is a fairly straightforward application. This building has several similar uses already, so it's not going to be out of character with the building or anything like that. It's a fairly small operation, so staff doesn't really have any concerns. We do recommend putting 4 conditions on the application as shown in my memo, but 2 of them are very straightforward. One, just that the special permit certificate must be filed on land records within a year. And the second being that if any building permits or anything like that are needed, they need to apply for those. The third and fourth is that no outdoor storage is permitted. And the fourth is that all repairs must take place inside the building. Those are essentially requirements in the zoning regulations anyway, but this is just sort of enumerating those. Other than that, I've talked to the zoning enforcement officer. She has no concerns with this. Staff feels like this is a pretty straightforward application. Shouldn't be too much of an issue.
Great, thank you. Is there anyone out there in the audience that have any questions regarding this application? Yeah, I see one hand raised.
Chairman?
Oh, you muted, Justin.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for taking my comment. Randy is,
We're in questions now. Is this a question or a comment?
oh, sorry.
Okay, no problem. Okay, seeing no questions out there, let's start with the commission. Mr. Millet, any questions?
No questions on this.
Mr. Hussein, any questions?
Yeah, just had a quick one. Congratulations anyway on your trying to do your new shop. But I just had a question though about the 3 spaces or the 4 spaces will be delineated for just parking cars that are waiting to be repaired, and the repairs will be done inside, and there wouldn't be no cars stored outside that is actually being repaired, correct?
Correct.
All right, and the areas are pretty clearly striped and stuff like that, right? Because I know on the map, it shows that it's pretty clearly striped, but I think from the Google Earth that I looked at earlier today, it didn't show a lot of pavement markings, so I don't know if that was updated or not, Justin. That's the question for you mostly, I guess.
Yeah, I think there's a pretty good handle on the disposition of parking spaces between the tenants at this site.
Okay, great. That's all I had. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Bolton, any questions?
No questions, sir. Thank you.
Ms. Blinn, any questions?
Yes, sir. Just one, whether or not there's a drainage system within the building in case there are any spills or need for drainage in the floor of the operation.
Yes, there is.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Adams, any questions?
Hi there. Randy, is this what proximity is this to the old Tony D's repair shop? Is it this in the same area there?
Yes.
It is the old Tony D's?
Yes.
Oh, you're fine. Okay. That's it. Welcome. Thank you for choosing Bloomfield.
Thank you for your blessing.
Okay, and I don't have any questions on this. So is there the guy out
Mr.
there
Chair,
wanted to,
Mr. Chair, you also have Leon Peters, our new commissioner.
oh, there he is. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry,
sorry. I apologize. When I'm trying to get my camera working, it's not cooperating right now. I think I'm going to align with the rest of the commission. I'm not familiar with this location and the inner workings of it. My own question would align with Katie's based upon drainage, and is there enough ventilation within this space? Because what I've seen on this application is pretty limited. So I'm assuming that all the actual infrastructure to conduct business there or to conduct work in this space actually exists.
Yes.
All right, so that's my only question.
Okay, sorry about that, Leon. Yes, and I don't have any questions. So Justice, if anybody out there with any comments? I think there was at least one.
I think, Steve, did you have a comment?
I just wanted to make the commission aware that it was the old Tony D spot. He was one of the original tenants there. And Randy has taken over Tony D now that he's retired. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, that's the only one. We'll start with the commission. Ms. Adams, any comments?
None other than just again, Randy, welcome to Bloomfield. It's pretty admirable that you're being able to achieve your dream here in town to share it with us. Congratulations. I knew Tony very well, and I know the location well as well, indeed. So all the best to you.
Yes, I met him as well. We actually spoke. So he told me how he's been here a long time. So he has a lot of memories. And he also had, told me he admired me, taking that step.
Yep.
So we spoke.
I have a son who had that dream. He joined the Marines and he repairs the bombers. But he's
still working. He's still,
yes, I feel
wrenching.
it. He's an aircraft mechanic. I feel it.
Yep.
All the best.
Everything on a much bigger scale.
Well, thank you for choosing us.
Yes.
All right.
Ms. Blinn, any comments?
I would just say, in anticipation of this approval, I would congratulate the applicant.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, Mr. Bolton.
I echo the same comments as Commissioner Blunt.
Mr. Hussein.
No comments, same as Commissioner Blinn.
Mr. Millette.
No comments, nothing new to add.
Mr. Peters.
Also, no comment. I agree with everyone. Welcome to Bloomfield and the anticipation of the acceptance of your application.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
And I also agree with all the prior comments. Upon approval, congratulations and wish you the best of luck down there. So at this time, Randy, is there anything else you'd like to tell us regarding this application?
I'd like to thank everyone. I'm kind of a little bit emotional because I'm making this happen. I do appreciate everyone for allowing me to move forward with my dreams.
Okay.
I truly do.
Thank you. At this time, the chair entertain a motion to close this application.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
What was there a second?
I'll second, yeah.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye, closing this application.
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstention, the chair votes aye. Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the application for Randy Ashley to open and operate a motor vehicle repair shop at property located at 31 Toby Road, Unit 13 in an I-1 zone. Owner is 31 Toby Road Ltd.
Don't forget the conditions.
Oh, sorry. Yes, correct. We'll follow the town planner's conditions and notes as dated. What did you have in the
July 26th.
26.
July 26th. Thanks, Mr. Bolden.
You're welcome, sir. I'll second that.
It's been moved in second. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? And the chair votes aye. Congratulations, Randy, and once again, wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Welcome.
Have a good night.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is also a public hearing. And I'll read the legal notice on that. Legal notice published in the Hartford Current, July 14th and July 22nd, 2023. Notice is hereby given that the Town Planning and Zoning Commission will hold its regular meeting virtually via Zoom on Thursday, July 27, 2023, to consider the following. A special permit application from Basis Industrial Acquisitions, LLC, to construct a 4-building self-storage complex, 109,523 square feet, at property located at 59-69 Douglas Street in an I2 zone. Owner is Douglas Street Ventures, LLC. Okay. It's all right, I take it. Brian, you're here for that application?
Yes, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, my name is Brian Smith. I'm an attorney with Robinson and Cole in Hartford, and we're here representing the applicant, Basis Industrial Acquisitions, to present this application to you. And I believe one of my the people who will be presenting this application along with me are Paul Sysak and Paul Dumont. They're with JMC Site Development Consultants. Mark Petrero is also with them, who does traffic. We have Chris McCulloch, who's the architect, and Adam Halem is going to be is the owner's representative. And I just would ask that we have a short and we'll move very quickly, and especially in light of your agenda, through a short PowerPoint that I think one of the Pauls is going to be controlling. If you could go to the first slides there, and we can present this efficiently, we hope, for you.
Okay.
And Mr. Chairman and members of the
Yes.
commission, I note that we have the special permit here, but you also have us listed for site plan in agenda item 5B. And we would like to make the presentation all at once. I don't know how the commission proceeds on handling when you have two applications on the same agenda night, but.
All right, Justin, can we take both of those together?
Yeah, I would recommend that you do both the special permit and the site plan at once. That way the applicant can get everything taken care of at one time.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Mhm.
Now, so if you go to the next slide, that list of presenters, and you have a very short showing of what we intend to build here. This is a property that at 59 and 69 Douglas Street, which is, as the commission knows, between Britton Drive and Cottage Grove. This property is undeveloped. It's been here before this commission for a prior approval of a warehouse and distribution center, and that with Douglas Street Ventures. But since that time, we've entered into a purchase and sale and option agreement with them to acquire and change the plan to a self-storage facility, which, as we will demonstrate, actually has more building but lesser impact overall on the property, and it serves a need that we believe will be well received in Bloomfield. So if you go to the next slide, please. Very briefly, and I'm going to ask Adam Halem to give you a very brief summary of, who is Basis Industrial. So Adam, I don't know if you're on the
Yes,
line.
I'm here.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. I represent Basis Industrial. Our company has over 100 years collectively of development experience between our partners. And, we look at markets all around the country and have deemed Bloomfield underserved from a storage perspective. And that's why we're here tonight.
Thank you, Adam. And if we could go to the next slide. So this shows you more precision, where the location of the site and the prior approval that this commission granted last year was for a 74,520 square foot warehouse back in July. However, it also had quite a sea of parking that went along with it. As you'll see tonight, we're changing that and reducing that impact. And we did receive wetlands approval for this application on July 17th. Next slide, please. So what are the requests we have before you tonight? We're looking for this special permit use for a warehouse use, in particular a self-storage warehouse. We're working to finish grades to blend with existing grades within 10 feet of the property line. And for parking approval, and unlike what otherwise would be required for zoning, this commission has discretion to change that amount. And what we're proposing, because of unique nature of a self-storage facility, that there will only be 15 parking spaces on this property, and we'll get into some details of why and how that works. Next slide, please. So we believe that the proposed development meets the special permit criteria. It's in the I2 zone, and there are 2 lots on this property, which is composed of about a little over 8¼ acres, and we will merge the 2 lots, and then we will provide building and plans for 4 buildings, 1 large building of about 95,000 square feet and some smaller structures, which we'll show you in more detail in a moment. There's already adequate public utilities and services available, and the traffic generated by self-storage facilities is minimal, and so this is, and the turning radii for this is entirely adequate, we believe, and we'll demonstrate that in a minute. Next slide, please. So going further, as we did explained before the Wetlands Commission on the 17th, we're minimizing the impacts to the wetlands. In fact, we're reducing the amount of impact of wetlands considerably, and which we think is one of the reasons that the Wetlands Commission granted us a unanimous approval. We have a 3-year maintenance program that as a condition of that approval, which we're happy to undertake, and we believe this meets the plan of conservation and development. Next slide, please. So it's, as I said before, it's a zoned industrial 2, and of course one of the uses that's allowed by right is a self-storage warehouses. Next slide. And in the Copaco Gateway area of your plans, I mean, this has been slated for development of exactly this kind of use. Next slide. And, this is just another map from your plan of conservation development showing future land use plan. And again, this area is suitable and appropriate and hoped to be industrially zoned and used for this purpose. Next slide. So now the prior approval that you did a year ago, it was for, like I said, a 74,000 plus square foot warehouse and distribution center. And because it's a distribution center, it required far more parking spaces. It had 72 to the south of the building, extensive trailer parking and loading docks, and included 55 tractor trailer parking spaces on 69 Douglas Street. That's not what we're doing. That was the prior approval. Next slide. So here tonight, what we're offering instead is self-storage. It's going to be minimal traffic. Therefore, and it's going to be a lower building height. The original plan a year ago had a proposed 44-foot high industrial warehouse parapet, and in our plans, the highest is 26 feet. And there's a decrease in the impervious cover of the two properties from almost 60% to just around 40%. Next slide, please. And you can see on this slide, and I hope everyone can see this adequately, showing the plans. And from here, I'm going to ask that the consultants from JMC take over because they can give you the details. So thank you. Paul?
Sure. Good evening, commissioners. For the record, Paul Sysak from JMC, joined tonight with my associates, Paul Dumont and Mark Pacharo. Paul, can you go to the next slide? Here is a comparison plan that we prepared for our Inland Wetlands and Watercourse Commission meeting. The blue quickly represents the disturbance area of the original approval, and the red dashed line is the proposed disturbance area for this application. So as you can see, the development has been focused to the north parcel location. I think the next slide is the layout plan. Here's the just a rendering of the building from the north looking southeast. And here's the existing conditions plan. As you could see, there are some existing wetland areas located to the south that we had made an effort to avoid in this proposed application. I'll bring you through the site plan. We have two proposed curb cuts off of Douglas Street. And the first curb cut coming from the north, you will see the 15 parking spaces that we have located to the north of the site. All of the buildings are single story. There's a centrally located larger building in the middle with perimeter storage units around the outside. The three smaller buildings are also single story, and they have various sized self-storage units available to the public. There's just a one, circular access driveway around the site. And we have a proposed stormwater basin in the rear of the property, which we can go on the next slide and show you. Here's our proposed grading plan. The majority of the grading is in the back for the stormwater management basin, which is very similar to the design that was previously approved for the warehouse project. You go to the next slide, we'll show the utility plan. The majority of the utilities relates around stormwater management. We have a series of catch basins located in the drive aisle, which will collect and convey and treat the stormwater and bring it to the stormwater basin for treating the additional impervious surface that we're creating for the project. I believe the next slide is temporary erosion and sediment controls, which is typical. We've discussed the silt fence and erosion controls that will be in place during the construction of the project. And the next slide, I believe, is the landscaping plan. We have a very similar plant palette that was previously reviewed and approved in the warehouse application. We have evergreen buffer to the north. We have a deciduous tree stand along the front of the building to help soften the views from the street. And then we also have a evergreen vegetated hedge along the south side, which is adjacent to that existing residence that was there. We had some discussions during our Inland Wetlands and Watercourse Commission meeting where there was some concern about some of the plant material that was specified for the evergreen trees. We've since made those changes and incorporated those into our plan. So that really is, and then we also have wetland plantings, which will go within the wetland buffer that we are going to use to mitigate the wetland buffer disturbance proposed in this application. No, the next slide is okay. So We've also created some volumes on parking and trip generation, which I believe our traffic engineer, Mark Pacharo, can walk the commission through right now.
Good evening. This is Mark Pachoro from JMC. So as Paul had alluded to, we did provide a table here showing the peak hour trips based on the proposed use, and you can see they're very minimal as far as in the weekday. You're looking at 10 peak hour trips in the morning, 16 in the weekday afternoon, and 19 in a Saturday hour. So again, those are peak hour volumes, and they're derived from the industry standard Institute of Transportation Engineers publication, the Trip Generation Manual, which is based on studies conducted at similar facilities, and that's how those volumes are projected based on actual studies at these facilities. So again, those volumes are going to be minimal, and they are less than what was previously approved, being the warehouse development, which was previously discussed in the earlier slides. Additionally, we did provide also the peak parking demand, again, an Institute of Transportation Engineers publication that projects what the parking demand is associated with the proposed facility, and the peak demand on a weekday, being Monday through Friday, you're looking at a peak of 11 cars or 11 vehicles parking spaces, and on Saturday you're looking at 10. So again, the proposed development is proposing 15 striped parking spaces, which will adequately accommodate this, peak demand for this facility. Paul, I guess if you want to go to the next slide. And so just this right here is just our turning analysis plan. We're showing here the fire truck on the left being able to circulate around. And then also on the right here, we have an SU-30 or a single unit truck that measures 30 feet, which is representative of a typical moving vehicle being able to enter in and back into the site as well. So it can adequately accommodate the turning movements of the anticipated vehicles through the site here. And I'll give it over to the architect, I believe.
Hello, Christopher Michalak from SGW Architecture. We can probably just keep it on this slide right now. So the building itself, a pretty simple building, largely a rectangle. All four buildings on the site are 1 story. As Brian mentioned, the highest point of this building will be 26 feet, and that is only at the corner that is viewed here. The 26-foot tall parapet is a flat metal panel, kind of corner element that denotes really uses the architecture to denote where the place of doing business is. So that the corner is going to be the office for the functioning of the building. That's where the manager will have their office. There'll be a small shop for boxes and locks and those kinds of moving supplies. There's a display window above the office that will show sort of fake storage doors. It's another architectural means to show the function of the building. The majority of the building will be 22 feet tall. There are 2 other portions of 24-foot tall parapets. Again, those would be at locations where there are alternative access points to the main building. Again, using the architecture to kind of help be a guide point for users of the site. We can go to the next page. So this is the architectural site plan. As I mentioned before, in the lower right corner, is the office. There will be 3 parking spaces at the office area where new customers will be able to use those parking spaces to rent a facility. Additional parking is behind a gate just above where the office is. Next slide, please. And really, this is just the front half of the floor plan, indicating the office location and loading interior loading docks. The main building will be all climate controlled self-storage. The outbuildings will be non-climate controlled self-storage, and those are much shorter buildings as well. I think we can skip to the elevations if you have those. There we go. So here are the building elevations. These are the side elevations. Actually the front elevation is that second one up from the bottom. It's a metal panel building, darker metal panel at the corner that pops up, and that's a flat metal panel. The majority of the building is a corrugated metal. Branded door color. This will be an Extra Space. Extra Space is one of the top management companies in the country. Basis is keen on using the best in the industry, of which Extra Space certainly is. And that's about it for the architecture. Certainly available for questions later on.
Thank you, Chris. Again, for the record, Brian Smith with Robinson and Cole. So, I mean, that member, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, is our presentation. We're certainly all ready to answer questions that you may have. I would like to first thank the commission and the town staff for the time and effort that is, in considering this and in assisting us since this project has come forward. And I would say that Basis Industrial is actually very excited to come to Bloomfield because it sees a need and it's willing to invest its time and energy, and very happy that they would come to Bloomfield. And we certainly hope that you will approve the application that we're offering, both the special permit and the site plan. And of course, we went into all this detail because we're doing not only the special permit aspect of this to allow the use and the parking modification, but also the site plan to show you all the details of the stormwater and all the management and other plans and specifications, including, for example, we're complying with the lighting plan, keeping it, under 14 feet or under for exterior lighting and other details. So with that, I want to thank the commission very much, and we're ready to address whatever questions the commission or others may have. Thank you very much.
Byron, you're muted.
I'm sorry, Justin.
Yes. All right, so yeah, I kind of have to agree with the applicants on this one. This one was a fairly easy application to review for something of this size. Normally, some of the things that we look for that would require additional approvals have already been addressed with this. For example, the 14-foot light poles, they're already included. Usually those are notes that go back and forth for a while. So this has been fairly straightforward. In your staff memo for this, you will see some conditions, and because this is new construction, they're the fairly, generic conditions for that type of thing. Things like putting the corner lot monumentation in, getting certificates of occupancy, having the zoning enforcement officer review, that kind of thing. The engineering department did review this as well. They have several conditions that I incorporated into my memo. Those are essentially conditions related to the plan itself, just some minor tweaking that's needed to kind of label some things and give a little bit more detail in certain places. Nothing significant by any means. So other than that, it's in pretty good shape here. Like the applicant noted, they did get approval through wetlands last week, so they are set with that approval. I think everything is in good shape and ready to be approved for this.
Okay, thank you, Justin. Is there anyone in the audience with any questions regarding this application?
I don't see any hands.
Okay, then if you can put us all back on the screen, Justin, we can make our way around the commission. Okay, great. All right, we'll start with questions from the commission. We'll start with Mr. Millette. Do you have any questions regarding this?
Sure, I had one, more curiosity, but it was mentioned in the presentation that Bloomfield was underserved for the self-storage market. And I'm sure that the market has, in fact, is bringing you to Bloomfield. I'm just curious the metrics, because it seems like we have had quite a few self-storages open up here and our neighbors quite recently.
Yeah, I can answer that. We use a metric that is net rentable square feet per capita.
Okay.
So we look at a 3-mile radius and we look at, all the existing facilities in the market. And it's just taking that divided by the population. And in the self-storage national average is between 7 to 8 per capita. And this fell into about a 4 range.
Really? Okay. That's surprising, but guess we're underserved. The second question, I'm not sure who would answer this. This is for 2 special permits, the warehouse and the grading, right? Was there any others?
Don't believe so. I think that's.
Okay. I just want to make sure I was reading that right. And I think the other question I had is in condition 8, which is the lots must be legally merged. Let me see if I had anything else. I think that covered my questions. Thanks.
Okay, Miss Adams. You're muted. Oh, you can't unmute? *6 with a phone? Oh, okay. We'll go to Miss Blunt. Any questions?
Just a couple. In terms of the hours of operation, it seems like you're closed on Sundays, but what are the hours for the rest of the week?
Again, I think that would be a question that maybe Adam can answer or others.
Sorry, it differs by property. I believe we had in the slide. I think we had it. I think it's 10 to 6, I believe.
So it's not a 24-hour access.
No, and sometimes there's special cases where they'll be granted a badge or a key code where certain types of tenants would be granted access, but it wouldn't be like public access for 24 hours.
And in terms of thank you. In terms of the number of parking spaces, you're confident that 15 is all you need, including anyone who would work there or maintain the place?
Yes. So, Mark Pachoro, so the number that we had provided and we presented in the slide, being the peak demand of 11 and 10, that includes all vehicles that would be arriving at the site during the peak conditions. So employees / visitors, and that's based on studies at similar facilities. And just from our office perspective as well, we've seen this, that not many parking spaces are required for these type of facilities as well.
It's such a large facility. It seems like you would need at least a couple more to feel good about it. But as long as you're satisfied, that's great. In terms of the internal climate control operations, do you try to be energy efficient with those in terms of lighting and heating and cooling in the off hours? I'm just trying to think of like environmental effects, whether there's anything that you can do to make sure that you're as efficient as possible there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty standard practice to use. The lighting is all done on motion sensors. So the lights are never on all the time.
Right.
And, typically, during a day, you're going to get 2 or 3 people per hour walking through. So the lights are generally off.
Yeah.
Also, not a lot of windows here. So
right.
Our heating and cooling load, it's a very efficient building already, just based on the standard energy code and the requirements of the insulation from that. But also, when we say climate controlled, it's not like your house climate controlled. It's maybe cooled to 78, 80 in the summer, and maybe heated to 58, 60 in the winter. So it's a slightly different criteria. So the energy needs are substantially lower than, say, an office building or a residence.
And it looks like you would have a generally flat roof. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's we will have a pitch on this one just because it's a rather wide building, but generally flat.
Would it be white in order to reflect sunlight?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great.
Code required.
Great. And have you guys been in touch with the residential property owner on the site? I think someone mentioned that you did have conversations. Maybe that's not something
We've
you can
notified
answer.
everyone, and in fact, there was I think someone in the wetlands commission had raised the question about our northerly neighbor, not the residential neighbor, and we've been in touch with them about some stuff they have on our property. So yes, we've been talking.
And then the southern part of the property, are there any future plans for that?
No plans at the moment.
At the moment, okay.
Well, no plans.
No plans. Okay. And then just for the town staff, kind of in line with comments Mr. Millet made, I feel like wetlands and zoning have considered and approved a large number of storage facilities in the area. And I can see just by Googling extra space storage, you guys are all over Connecticut already. It almost looks like there's already a Bloomfield location somewhere. And so I'm asking Justin, is there any concern that at some point we might want to consider limiting the amount of self-storage space that we allow? I'm not just going to take it on face value that we're underserved. It's just kind of a signal to me that we should stop and think about this a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. And it's something that if you look around the state, like you mentioned, you do see a proliferation of this kind of use lately. And there's a few reasons for that. And one of the main reasons is that we're seeing a large increase in the number of apartment buildings that are going up. So if you look at Bloomfield, we've had quite a few new apartment buildings in the past 5-10 years. So what we're actually seeing is a more transient population that's coming in for a job, leaving shortly thereafter, and they need a smaller house, a smaller apartment. They need storage units for that. What we also see is a lot of people downsizing. So they go from a large house or something, the kids move out and then they move into a smaller apartment. So I completely understand where you're coming from. And at some point we may want to do some sort of study on that just to see where exactly we stand with it. But at this point, it's something that, throughout the state, we do see quite a bit of, and with good reason. I mean, I'm kind of curious to ask the, the developer what the occupancy rate is of some nearby facilities. I would assume they're pretty full at this point.
So the extra space that's on Douglas Street, actually, you are correct. There's one in Bloomfield. It's right on the same street. They're at 96.5% occupancy. So that is above national average. I mean, that's part of, I'd say that's 100% of the reason why we're going there, right? I mean, extra space is doing well, and there's a need for more space.
And I guess my last question would be, thank you. How long do these self-storage units typically serve a need in a community on average? Like 10 years, 15, 20, 30? Because when there's not a need, there's still a giant storage facility there.
Well, this is Brian Smith. I can actually give you some purely anecdotal evidence. In 1986, I was a brand new associate, Robinson and Cole, and we did a we did a sale and purchase of a self-storage facility in East Hartford. It's still going and it's still highly occupied. So 40 or 30 something years, which dates me a little bit, but yes. So,
Great story. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, next, Mr. Bolton. Any questions?
I don't know anything about these storage spaces and places, never used them. Do you guys have staff? Is there staff in the storage
Yes,
facility?
yes. There's typically 2 people on staff at all times.
Director LaFontaine, did the fire marshal look at these drawings?
Yes.
Okay, he's all set.
Yep. You'll notice on the plans how there's access fully behind the building and everything. So those have been reviewed and that's all set.
Okay. And you're comfortable with the 15 parking spaces, even though there's no real requirement in our regs or formula for how to arrive at those parking spaces. You're comfortable that the 15 is adequate?
Yeah, and looking at similar structures and similar units throughout different, areas nearby, it's fairly typical. And what we end up seeing is, like the applicant has mentioned, when, if you have a storage unit that has an exterior door towards the back or something, you're going to be pulling your car up around there anyway. So it's, you wouldn't necessarily be using the spaces themselves. And these are pretty short trips. People are in there for maybe a half an hour, moving things in and out if they need to. It's a pretty short window that they're there.
And to the applicant, I know you said that Bloomfield is underserved. Are you seeing a lot of a need from the Hartford area, being so close to Hartford?
There are some areas around Hartford. It's really tricky. You got to find an actual site that's for sale, right? So yeah, I mean, we look at the metrics and there are some underserved areas, but it's got to be a perfect fit.
Well, I got Mr. Lester.
Thank you. Mr. Hussein, any questions?
Yeah, I have a couple. I'll start with Adam. What enforcement measures do you have in place to keep out hazardous materials? I know you'll have it in the regs, you'll have it in the contracts and stuff like that. I'm really concerned though about bad characters and stuff like that. And I know you'll have 2 people on staff, you'll probably have cameras too, but I just want to make sure you're really close to a major brook that if it does spill, and I think I brought this up in wetlands too, that I know we have some separators and grit separators and some other stuff in there, but I'm really concerned of anything just going to dump into Washbrook because how are you guys enforcing hazardous materials and stuff like that? And I know it's not required, but you can't stop people from bringing stuff in, correct?
Yeah, we have, like you said, there's people on staff. They're monitoring, the people coming in and out. They're, everyone's on camera as well. The majority of the property, I think we're at 90% of the building is indoors. So I don't know what someone's bringing in that's going to get into a brook other, than, I don't know what kind of hazardous materials are going to make it there. And I'm not an engineer, so I probably can't answer that. But yeah, there's just staff on staff that we can't really control what a bad actor is going to do outside of that.
And to kind of expand on what Adam's saying, there's going to be about 30 cameras in this facility, inside and outside. The security system is set up so that you punch in a key code or you get a key fob. Once you scan or punch in that code, you're in the system. And once the system knows you're on site, it'll alert the manager, the store manager who's also on site, that a customer's been on site for 20 minutes. That manager will then go check out that customer to see if they're doing anything kinky. Average time is actually a little less than a half an hour that Mr. LaFontaine's mentioned. It's about 15 to 20 minutes is your average visit. So anything over 20, the security system will ping the manager. That security system is also monitored by a third-party offsite security company during off hours. So anything that happens on site is noticed, is registered, and obviously if someone's seen bringing in a 55-gallon drum, the manager's going to kick him out immediately. It's just one of those kinds of situations.
Oh, good. I like that because there's a couple of layers there of security that I do like that part of it. So that's good. I know Commissioner Blint had brought this up in the past too, and again, I think you brought it up now. I don't remember if you touched on the solar panels, Katie, or you didn't.
Just reflective paint so that it wasn't absorbing heat, but reflecting heat.
Yeah. Oh, I know you don't. It's not a heavy operation, so really solar panel would not be an option there, correct? Or just isn't? It's just too expensive, I guess, for the operation that you have.
I can address some of that. The solar panels, I think it's really a company by company preference. We have some clients that try to do them as much as possible, but it really comes down to economics and finding the appropriate tax incentives, be them federal or state, to make it cost effective for installation. And obviously there's typically a 20-year investment before you get a return. So
okay, I'm just curious about that. And then I know you have signage on the building, so obviously you don't have anything with signage on the street because it's pretty big on there. And then the gate, I know you have the gate. The gate is proposed by others. Is it going to be a slide-in or a vertical gate? Do you guys know what you're thinking yet, or you're not sure? And I think you mentioned either a key fob access or like a keypad or key fob access, correct?
yeah, it'll be a keypad, and with that it'll have a fob option. The gate will be a vertical lift gate, so it'll pivot upward, kind of like like that.
Yeah.
So for entrance, it'll be keypad.
Obviously, it'll be enough clearance for a fire truck to get in there.
Absolutely. And any access that the fire department needs, obviously, will be provided. And
you said there's 2 employees will be at least on the site most of the times, right? So
correct.
The other, and I know you mentioned a non-climate control for the outside units. So basically what you put in there would be based on the weather, whatever the weather is like, that's what you get to store in there, correct? Hot,
correct.
cold, it's your choice, right?
Yeah.
My big thing here though is honestly my big thing is that the on your architectural plans in the page 23 that you show a slide, the finish you showed is not you didn't show the corrugated metal. So I kind of fell in love with that neat finish that you had. And then I saw your actual architectural plan, and then I saw the corrugated ones, and I wasn't too much in love with it. I know there's a couple of buildings that are down the street that does have the corrugated finish. I know, like I think Fast Pitch Nation does have it. When you inherited the first property down the street, did you guys just inherited that building, Adam? I don't know if you remembered, or were you did you guys build that from scratch?
So Extra Space is actually a third-party manager. They put all their branding on. That's not our building.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, that's why that's a brick building versus.
Yeah, I'm sure that was a conversion. At some point, they just took whatever was existing and they converted it to storage.
Okay, that's what I figured too. But have you guys looked at an alternative, I guess, Chris or Adam, about even if you make it corrugated, maybe not make it wide enough to the space in where it just looks like it's corrugated versus a nicer close pack finish where it doesn't protrude as much per se with the corrugation and stuff like that?
Chris, I think you're
for
that too.
My mute button was not working at the moment, but yeah, that's no problem. I mean, we can we've got a palette of metal panels that we can choose from that have tighter ribs, maybe a little bit more sleek looking than your standard kind of wavy corrugated. So we can get a rectangular profile, we can get wider, we can get narrower profiles. So yeah, we can certainly entertain a different metal panel on the outside.
Yeah, I think Justin, if it's okay with you, I think before they decide that, I think they should bring the different types and have you guys pick something that probably does, that matches pretty well and doesn't stand out as much as the traditional corrugated.
Yeah,
finishes.
we can definitely work with staff on that.
Absolutely, we can add that as a condition.
That's all I have for right now. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Next, Mr. Bolton.
Mr. Chair, I've already gone.
You went. Oh, okay. This screen has moved around a little bit. Okay. Mr. Peters.
Thank you. I do have a couple of questions that probably align with what has already been discussed. I guess I'll talk about something that Commissioner Hussein has just touched upon, which were kind of aligns with the architecture of the building. You guys made mention of the most prominent feature of the building being the service area where customers will probably speak to employees or, you know, sign up contracts, and that'll be the main location. But you guys also stated that this is a big box building. And my question is there any plans to add more architectural features to the building to break up the rhythm of this building so it is less of a, I don't want to say eyesore, but it is literally a metal shed. And I feel like that needs to be broken up a little bit more so it doesn't just seem like a big metal shed in this location. Is there any plans on developing the architecture of this building a little bit further?
Sorry, mute button issues again. At this point, there were no plans, but you know, I can consult with Adam because you know, I can't spend his money without his authorization, but you know, it's something that we can look at as a condition as well.
Okay. So that ties in with my next question. You guys, we also had a question, if you consulted the neighboring lots or parcels, and the statement was made that the residential lot adjacent to you was not consulted. So my next question was regarding the buffer zone of the trees that were implemented right there. Upon quick glance at it, I see that there's a height differential to, I guess, to block to a certain height, but height, and I'm assuming noise. And from my understanding, there won't be a tremendous amount of noise here because this is no longer going to be a distribution center, it's storage. So the amount of traffic will be somewhat minimal. But my thought is if we're only blocking to a certain height, that the residents from the adjacent lot will still be able to see this large facility. So is there any plans to add more vegetation that is a little bit lower so there's a tiered system to block the site of the building if there's no plans to develop the architecture of the building?
We have the plantings that we have there are evergreen, so they would be, you know, all the way down to the ground. We can, you know, coordinate with Adam and, you know, maybe we'd be able to increase the height of some of the plantings along that property line.
Yeah, I think that.
No, go ahead. I'm listening.
No, I was just saying, I would agree with Paul. We could change the plantings if we need to.
Okay. Or would you guys be able to provide an elevation, like a site elevation or something like that to prove that that is in fact doing what you say it is doing? Because I mean, I can see that on the plan, but I would also need to visualize each species of tree, because I'm not a civil engineer or that, so I don't know every planter type or every species, so I'm not familiar with everyone.
Yeah,
so
sure thing. We can look at that, Leon. The thing is, you know, that this is you know, it's a building. We're not going to be able to, you know, make it go away. We can make our best effort to help soften it and screen the building.
Yeah, and I think that's what my questioning is trying to align to. It's not going to go away, but I would love for there to be a softening or a consideration, at least for the neighboring lots in this community. And one of my other questions also aligns with Commissioner Blint and the need for storage areas. And I believe what you guys stated that there is a need. I don't think you guys specifically said the need is in Bloomfield. You guys said a 3-mile radius. So potentially the need is not for Bloomfield residents, it's maybe for neighboring cities or towns. What do you guys have a plan, or what is the 5 to 10 year plan if this facility no longer is required for the need of those neighboring towns or cities? Because it does not seem like Bloomfield, especially in this location, is the target audience.
I can just speak from storage, historical developments, and anytime you get that metric that I was talking about, the net rentable square feet per capita, I don't want to say it's 100% foolproof, but you're going to get people, even if it's not pulling directly from Bloomfield or pulling from Hartford. But I'm pretty sure our 3 mile radius touches. I think we're pretty central in Bloomfield. But you're going to pull people, and the building's not going to go away. It's not going to be an issue.
Okay. I think that's all the questions I would have right now. Thank you.
Okay, Miss Adams. Miss Adams, are you there? Okay. All right, Renee just came on. I'm not sure if she even heard the presentation. Renee, can you unmute for a second? Oh,
Hi,
okay.
everyone. Yeah, I just joined and I didn't hear it, so I'm not sure where we are in the agenda.
Fantastic. Okay. Michelle, are you back?
I'm back. I'm having some serious computer issues. I think what happened is I need to do some updates and it didn't happen. So I'm freezing very often. No, I have none. Thank you.
Okay. The only question I had was as far as the units. How many units are going to be on this site? How many storage units?
Sorry, I'm pulling up the unit mix. Or Chris, if you have it in front of you.
Let's see. Hold on. My mouse is dead, so I'm having troubles moving my computer around. One sec. I got it here. The actual number of units is off the top of my head, I think it's like 720. But I can pull up the actual unit mix and verify that.
I think I've got 807.
807. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, 807.
And I guess once again, with that amount, you're comfortable with the 15 parking spaces? I guess you said that what the cars will come directly to each unit and therefore wouldn't need to utilize any of the parking spaces mostly?
For some of the units, not all of them. The 3 outbuildings will be like that, and then the main building does have exterior access units. But typically, rule of thumb when we're laying out a facility like this, we're looking at one parking space per 10,000 square feet. So, and that aligns with the traffic engineer's recommendation of 11, cars peak, and we're providing 15. So we did kind of buffer that up a little bit already to our usual standard metrics. And the number of units might be slightly misleading because remember, not everyone is accessing their unit every day, all day. Right. More or less, the average user is dropping their stuff off and 10 months later picking it back up. So, and it's really a low impact traffic generator just because of that.
Okay, and you said the metrics for that was one parking space per 10,000 square feet.
That's our rule of thumb. Say if Adam came to me and said, "Hey, what can you lay out a storage building for me. That would be our rule of thumb, and it usually aligns with the traffic engineers at the end of the day.
Okay.
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I just realized I found the foot candle lighting plan as a separate page.
Okay.
I just had a quick question about the lighting plan. It looks like on the northern part of the property, the light does go over into the other property. I assume that the trees that you're gonna have there are gonna reduce some of that lighting from spilling over into the northern property? The lighting plan you said.
There should be full cutoffs on those too, on the units. We can take a look at that.
Yeah, it looks like it spills over about 3 or 4 foot candles over to the northern property. For the full property line. So I just want to make sure that does not you guys reduce that light. The lumens that go in there.
Mr. Hussein, for the record, Paul Dumont. I'm looking at the lighting plan now. So you're talking about the bottom of the page? I could share my screen.
Oh, you're muted, Kev.
Sorry, the bottom of the page. Yeah. What would
Yeah.
be,
So at the bottom of the page, we have 2 fixtures there, and I see the light level at the property line is about 0.1 foot candles, but that, as you mentioned, that analysis that the lighting consultants are doing doesn't account in any of the grades or the vegetation that's going to be planted there. So, and as Paul said, the fixtures are going to have full cutoff shields installed. So, we're confident that there's not going to be any light directed to the neighbor.
all right, just be sure we cover that too, so that it doesn't affect the neighbors. So
Sure.
sorry, thank you, Mr. Chair. That was it.
Oh, okay. All right, I think we kind of got through the questions. Now we'll check out there, Justin, to see if anyone out there in the audience have any comments.
No hands raised.
Okay, we'll start with the commission. Mr. Peters, any comments?
I did not expect to be first. I don't know exactly where to begin, but right now I'm indifferent about this because I do not believe this is per se to serve the town of Bloomfield. Based on the location and based on from what I'm understanding in the studies, it seems like the need is exterior. And I also am probably a little bit ignorant because on this, I've only had these drawings less than a week. So I haven't been able to fully dive in. So I'm not able to make a full and well-informed statement about this. But right now, from what I'm hearing and what we're all discussing, I don't fully stand behind what I'm hearing and seeing. So I think that would be my comment.
Okay, Mr. Bolton,
No comments, Mr. Chair.
Miss Adams,
No comments.
Miss Blint.
I guess I would hope that the applicant also took into consideration any potential light pollution at night, and that that was something that they would take seriously to make sure that lighting is low or off overnight.
Thank you. Mr. Hussein.
Yeah, I just want to add that I actually, when I sold my house a few years ago, I did move into heirloom flats, and I didn't have enough room to put my stuff, and I actually did get a storage facility in town. So, and the approval of the new apartments, the 400 apartments across the street, which isn't built yet, in the 40, I actually do think that this actually will be of good use to a lot of folks that are moving in town. So, I just like to address the 3 comments that we touched on: the finished corrugated walls, which the town will review, the lighting plan to reduce the pollution, and then, of course, like Commissioner Peters mentioned, the east elevation, breaking it out specifically because that has the street space there. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Millette.
Compared to the last plan that we went through with, I think I remember correctly, it had tractor trailer parking, and this is much less intrusive, especially on, I think it's the south side where there is the one existing residential. So I am surprised by the metrics, whether it's regional or Bloomfield. Metrics are still there, and so no major concerns here.
Okay, and for me, I think Justin, your explanation as far as with a lot of the new apartment activity in Bloomfield, and I guess their 3-mile radius, which would encompass right within that 3 miles, a lot of activity right smack in the center. I can see where there can definitely be a usage for that, especially with, like Mr. Hussein said, there's a building that's still being built now. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe there was another phase scheduled for Gap Road
Yes.
at some point. So I can definitely see where there can be a usage for that. So I don't have any problems with that. So at this point, you guys can make any closing remarks that you like to make on this application?
Chair and members of the commission, Brian Smith for the record. We're happy to address the conditions that you already discussed, and we're ready to answer those. I think that we are enthusiastic about serving Bloomfield itself, and we think there is a demand in Bloomfield, as you've all observed, and we're here ready to work with you and invest in the community. So we're very excited. We hope that you will approve the special permit and the site plan, and with the appropriate conditions and the other conditions that Mr. Shan had in his memorandum. We had no objection to those either. So with that, we ask for your approval, and we thank you again for your time and service with the community.
Okay, thank you. At this time, the chair entertain a motion to close this application.
Move that we close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
It's been moved in second. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye and closing this
Aye.
hearing.
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstention, and the chair votes aye. Okay, commission.
All right, I'll just to move things along, then I'll make I'll move to us to approve the application for Basis Industrial Acquisitions LLC to construct 4 building self-storage complex, 109,523 square feet at a property located at 59-69 Douglas Street Road in an I-2 zone, owner Douglas Street Ventures LLC. Based on the conditions presented by the Director of Buildings and Land Use, the 17 conditions, was the additional 3 conditions as identified by the commission, which includes the finished corrugated walls, the light and plants pollution, and the east elevation, breaking that out. In addition to that, we want to make sure that all of that information is based on the plans that was submitted on June 16, 2023. And also the architectural plans with the same date. Concurrently, I'd also like to mention that we would also approve the site plan application from for Basis Industrial Acquisitions LLC to construct a 4-building self-storage complex for 109,523 total square feet at a property located at 59-69 Douglas Street in an I-2 zone, owner Douglas Street Ventures. And again, as mentioned, site plan dated June 16, 2023.
Thank you for including both of those in there.
Commissioner Bolton, did I leave anything out?
No, read me through, and I will second both of those.
Okay.
Are we
it's been
doing one
moved-
or
Oh, I'm
both?
sorry.
It's one motion for both, right?
Yes,
Yeah, I think that was a suggestion by Mr. Chair, yes.
yes.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved in second. Any further discussion on this?
I just have one item.
Sure.
109,523 square feet is not an approximation, it is exact. Just thought that was funny.
Okay. If there's no further discussions, all those in favor of this application signify by saying aye.
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 Oppose? Abstentions?
I abstain.
And the chair votes aye. Congratulations. And wish you the best of luck.
Commissioner Blint, you realize there's a bunch of engineers on this screen, right?
I don't know how we could get more exact than that number.
We've got good architects.
Welcome to Bloomfield again.
Thank
Thanks
you.
all.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda also requires a public hearing. I'll read the notice on that. Notice was hereby published July 14th and July 21st in the Hartford Current. Legal notice is hereby given that the Town Planning and Zoning Commission will hold its regular meeting virtually via Zoom on Thursday, July 27th, 2023, to consider the following. Special permit application from Herman Cortez Barrios for a change of use from commercial to medical clinics/offices at property located at 1 Bester Lane in a BCD zone. Owner is Shavine Resources Incorporated.
No.
Okay, is there anyone here from that? That's you, Herman?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
Okay. I'm trying to put my screen in a better way, but okay, well, anyway, yes, I'm here. This is Herman Cortez Barrios. I am an architect with Lightcare Design Inc. in Hartford. I am representing our client, Dr. Rochelle Collins, which is a medical practitioner that she has already an office in Bloomfield, but she is buying this building, number 1 Bester Lane, to move her practice and some more visible place so it can serve more population and be more into the center of the town. The project is very simplistic. Basically, we are doing this change of use. That is the reason we are here in this public hearing, because it's actually it's an office building, some kind of industrial office building, and then we are going to convert this one into the medical business office. So that, again, that is the reason we are here. We have drawings that the town has those drawings, and basically the town will share that with the all panelists. And we have to go to the previous architectural review. We went twice in there because the first presentation was maybe a little too modern or too much glass, as it was criticized. And then we ended up with a little more similar design than the actual house. The house, 1 Bester Lane, is not in architectural, I mean, I couldn't say that is bad, but it's not in architectural or historical or the historical values. It's a nice, well-built house, around 60 years old, I understand. And then the doctor wanted to have a little more room in the entrance to locate a little waiting area and to have a little more transparency into the facility. So then basically we grew the building into the sides just to have more glass in left and right of the actual entrance. And then we modified the roof in order to get a similar shed to the one that you can see in the back of the building. We kept basically, hello? We kept basically every single thing the rest. We haven't done any more improvements than this. And then I can respond any question that you might have about the project or my company. I think Dr. Rochelle should be also in the panelists. I don't know if she has been connected or not. But and anyway, so that is what we are. So any questions for us?
Okay. You're done with your application, Justin?
Yes, so this is another one of those applications that I've been bringing to your guys' attention lately. It's a very, very straightforward change of use, but because of the way our regulations are crafted, it requires a special permit and a public hearing. So this building was formerly an office building, which is listed as one use in our zoning regulations for the BCD zone, and it's changing to a medical office building. So therefore, it needs to come in for this special permit review. As I mentioned before, staff is working on some, potential amendments to hopefully clean some of this stuff up to make things a little bit easier for not only the applicants, but also the commission. But in this case, he's coming before you tonight for this. The only exterior change to the building is that addition on the front. Let me share my screen again with this slightly different view. So you can see this front portion here is new to the building. It's a little bit expanded from what it was before. But that's the only change being proposed. He did go and present this to Design Review Board twice. A couple of the things that the Design Review Board mentioned have already been addressed by this latest design. There have been some changes to the bottom, which includes more brick as opposed to a wooden base. So the Design Review Board ended up being fairly happy with this design. The one thing that they mentioned was that they'd like to see some trees along the frontage of the property. So the commission could, in theory, condition approval on some trees being added to the street line, but that would be up to you guys. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. Nothing else is changing on the outside. Parking is adequate. All the zoning setbacks and everything like that are met. It's in pretty good shape.
All right, great, thank you. Justin, is anyone out there in the audience with any questions?
I don't see anyone. Herman, I see there's someone else in the audience with your name. Could that be the doctor?
Maybe the doctor, I don't see it. Okay, I see somebody here, but it doesn't have any name. Dr. Rochelle, are you here?
I don't see her name in the list, so she may not be here.
I don't see the name either. No, she. Okay. There's a new person in there on the screen, but I don't know that person.
Okay. All right, so we'll start with the commission as far as questions. Mr. Millett. Any
questions on this one?
You said no questions?
No questions on this one, no.
Thank you. Ms. Blint?
No, I have no questions either. Thank you.
Mr. Bolton?
No questions.
Ms. Adams?
No questions.
Mr. Peters?
No questions.
Mr. Hussein?
No questions.
Ms. James?
I actually do have a question. If Dr. Collins is on, if she would be willing to tell us a little bit about her practice, like which specialty will she be practicing? Are there any procedures to be done in this space, or just what general services would you be providing?
I don't see that she is here, but what I can tell you, according with the program that she has, is basically general practice. There will be no procedures in there, no minor surgery, nothing like that. Basically, it's like a family doctor, like a regular medicine. If something has to be done, she will refer to some hospital or to another specialist. Basically, it's a place that you can go to see how you are doing, like regular annual visit to the doctor, but nothing special.
Okay, thank you. So we wouldn't be expecting any kind of emergent care ambulances needing to access that space?
No.
Okay.
Unless that somebody collapses in there for any reason, ambulance has to go and pick it up. But no, we don't expect ambulance to bring in people in there for any kind of a procedure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and I don't have any questions either. So I don't know if there's anyone out there for comments.
I don't see any hands, no.
All right, we'll start with the commission. Ms. James, any comments?
No, I appreciate the context. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Hussein.
Yeah, I'd just like the applicant to do produce a planting plan to be approved by the town for as recommended by the design review board.
Okay.
Excellent. Mr. Peters, any comments?
No comments. Thank you.
All righty, Ms. Adams,
No comments, thank you.
Mr. Bolton,
No comments, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Ms. Blint.
I think Commissioner Hussein's recommendation for a planting plan is a good one, and I support that. Thanks.
Okay, Mr. Millet.
Yeah, I also support the some type of planting addition along the road, the frontage of Park Avenue. It's listed there.
Okay, and for me, I agree with that too. Justin and Commissioner Hussein brought up a good point on that. So I agree with that. At this time, Mr. Cortez Barrios, is there anything else you'd like to say? Any closing remarks regarding this application?
No. I really appreciate it. I mean, this is my first. I mean, we have done some work in Bloomfield before, but this is the first time I have to go through this kind of a public hearing in Bloomfield, and I have to be very grateful. Justin has been great. Everyone on the staff on the town, they have been very, very helpful. So I am very confident that we are going to succeed well. Our client, Dr. Rochelle, she's very, very thrilled to move her practice down to the center of the town, basically. And then again, thank you for every single thing. I don't know, as I was thinking to have a little more questions, especially from Mr. Bolton, that I know Mr. Bolton from a long time ago. He never had been so quiet.
Always good to see my old friend, Mr. Barrios Cortez. It's good to see you, sir.
Anyway, yes, thank you very much for everything. I really appreciate it. Then the only thing I want to do is how should I go to the landscape or the trees or whatever you want to put? Should I bring some kind of ideas to the town?
You could work that out with Justin.
Okay, I will.
Okay, great. And the only thing, the last thing I'd like to say is Justin, thanks for once again identifying applications where, hopefully in the future, we can tweak the regs where, these ones where there's no real change in usage, won't even have to come before us and be a lot more friendlier to the applicant and also less time consuming for us. So thank you, and we'll be looking forward to that. So at this time, the chair entertain a motion to close this public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstention, chair votes aye. Okay.
I can make a motion. I'll move to approve the application submitted by Herman Cortez Barrios, owner Dr. Rochelle Collins, for a medical office with a new entryway vestibule addition based on plans reviewed by the design board on July 20th, 2023, and the findings that the special permit criteria in section 9.5.e of the zoning regulations are met, along with the conditions outlined in Director of Building and Land Use's memo dated July 24th, 2023, and the addition of 0.3, where the design review board is requesting the trees be planted along the frontage of Park Avenue, and that can be worked out with staff.
I'll second that.
Been moved in second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Opposed? Abstentions? And the chair votes aye. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to working with you guys. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Okay, take care. Next item on the agenda is also a public hearing. I'll read the legal notice. Legal notice published in the Hartford Current, July 14th and July 21st, 2023. Legal notice is hereby given that the Town Planning and Zoning Commission will hold its regular meeting virtually via Zoom on Thursday, July 27th, 2023 to consider the following. Petition by Jolly 2, LLC for a zoning regulation text amendment to allow the commission to reduce the parking front yard setback to 10 feet on any parcel located on a local road. Justin, is there anyone here to speak on that?
Yes, we have Dave Ziyax here.
Okay.
Dave, is there anyone with you tonight or just you?
It's just me this evening. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. My name is Dave Ziyax. I'm a professional engineer and the president of F.A. Hesketh Associates. We're located up in East Granby. And what's brought us here this evening is that some of the commission members, I see we have some new commission members joining the commission, seems like on a monthly basis, which is nice. Pleasure to see you all. But we've been working for several years at the end of Jolly Drive. If you're familiar where Jolly Drive is, that's off Cottage Grove Road. And at the end of that, we are nearly constructed now. A new 111 unit apartment building's been built back there. And we've been working on that for the last few years. And I was told today, actually, there's somewhere between 25 and 30 of the units are already occupied. I wasn't even aware of that. I've been making some inspections back there, but it's usually during the day and there's a few cars parked in the lot. But I walked around the back of the building and there were people sitting at the swimming pools. And now I realize that they're already up to about almost 30 units occupied back there. And we've been working with staff on again, off again with some adjustments to that site plan, adding some additional parking, moving around the dog park and things of that nature. And what's happened recently is that the property that is immediately to the south is now for sale. It's been used as an office building probably since the late 1980s. I think we actually did that site plan, Hesketh did, at the end of Jolly there, and it's for sale. And the practice that's in there is moving out of the building. So the owners, which is Jolly 2 LLC of what's now known as Washbrook Apartments, they're looking at the possibility of purchasing that property and then demolishing the small medical building that's on there and actually building a new, smaller version of Washbrook. It'd be a 3-story apartment building, probably with around 40 units in it. And it would essentially be a sister building to the building that's being constructed there. And then they would share amenities and parking and things of that nature. And of course, we'd have to come back in with a complete site plan and special permit application for that if this was to move forward. But, and I could show you, I can share the screen here. And I can call up what I'm looking for here, just to give you an idea what we're talking about. Oh, here we go. It's hiding on me here. Sorry. Zoom is great, except for when you know, when you have a bug or two. But well, this is the actual written amendment that we've submitted through staff to you this evening, and all of this area is zoned in the professional office, the BOB zone, and in the professional office zone, multifamily housing is actually allowed in that zone, and that's how the Washbrook project was developed. And this parcel that I'm talking about, that's located immediately to the south, is also zoned PO zone. And one of the challenges there, for some reason, I'm having difficulty calling that particular one up. Can you just bear with me? I'm going to keep trying to see if I can get it. Not too sure why it won't come up. Let me try one more time, and then I quit, because it's just additional information for the commission, but it's not completely relevant to this application because it's a zone amendment.
Right.
But anyhow, and one of the things that we struggled with when we were doing the Washbrook project is, for some reason in this PO zone, and there's very limited properties in the town of Bloomfield that are left at least zone this PO zone, but there's a requirement in that no parking is allowed in the front yard, and the front yard is 40 feet. So basically the parking needs to start 40 feet back from the right of way, which is really about 50 feet back from the edge of the road. And again, maybe a couple of the commission members remember when we were working on our parking for the Washbrook, we were struggling with that because we had a cul-de-sac at the end, and you can picture in your minds, if you have to strap a 40-foot setback around that, it starts to offer, quite a bit of limitation on, especially on these small, difficult lots. So we actually went to the Zoning Board of Appeals and had the front yard reduced requirement and brought that to this commission, and you approved the site plan. So when we were looking with staff on a preliminary basis for this new lot, we discussed this issue again. And we felt that when talking with staff that really we didn't think it was appropriate to go back to the Zoning Board of Appeals again and put a variance on this lot. We felt that it'd be more appropriate to come before this commission and just simply modify that requirement within the PO zone to allow us to reduce that front yard down to 10 feet. But again, the commission has to make that decision. It's not, it's not a set requirement within the regulation. It's the way it's written is it's a may, so the commission has discretion when the time comes that an application would become before you. So basically what it would look like, and this is under it's section 4.2.b. Right now, the way your regulation reads, and again, this only pertains to these few properties that are in this PO zone. It would say that no parking or loading is permitted in any front yard on any parcels is the way it's read now. What we would ask is that it be changed to the commission may reduce the parking in the front yard setback to 10 feet on any parcel located on a local road. So if the PO parcel is on a major arterial road or collector road, no parking would be allowed in that front yard, just as a safety setback and things of that nature on a busy road. But on a local road, a quiet road, during the site plan process, the commission may reduce that parking front setback down to 10 feet. And then at the suggestion of the staff, I think it was in your memo from Justin to you folks, he pointed out that maybe some mentioning of landscaping should be put into the ordinance as well, just to remind everybody that landscaping within this front setback would be expected to buffer any parkings from the sidewalk and the like. So as a sort, I'll call it a friendly amendment, I've added landscaping in the reduced front yard shall be provided in accordance with your 6.1B4, which is your standard landscaping requirements. But this just kind of reinforces it so that, again, it adds a little extra authority to the commission to require whatever landscaping that you folks think is appropriate when you do reduce the front setback to 10 feet. The rest of that footnote stays the same, is that no parking's or loadings permitted in the side or rear yards. And then with residential properties, if a PO property happens to abut a residential property, you can actually ask for larger yards. But again, that's discretion at the time when a site plan would come before you folks. So that's sort of the simple thing we're looking to do is, and the main reason why we're looking to do it is to add some additional parking for, again, for a residential use. There's no particular reason to have a 40-foot setback from a local road, in particular on Jolly Drive. We didn't want to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals and request a variance again. We thought, again, in working with staff, that this was a more appropriate way to do it, was to actually change the regulations the proper way and give this commission the discretion that you need when you review site plans to make first a determination whether a reduced, parking front yard setback is appropriate for that particular property. And then also to require the appropriate landscaping if you do choose to reduce the front yard, so that everything works together nicely and it doesn't present any, onerous impact on abutting properties or on the local road. And that's basically where we are. Again, as Justin, I think, pointed out in his report to you, there's very few properties left in town that are zone PO. And in this case, this would be a redevelopment of an existing parcel that now finds itself abutting a fairly substantial apartment development that's almost 100% constructed and is already being successfully rented and leased in a very short period of time. And so the owners of that really feel that there's a great marketing opportunity to build what I'll call a sister building. We'll have the same architecture on the parcel, and then we would tie them all together so that if you were to drive down the end of Jolly Drive, it would all look like it's one continuous development. And that's about it. I'd be happy to answer questions from the commission and anyone maybe in the public.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Justin.
Yes. So, Dave explained it very well. This is a pretty straightforward text amendment. We're actually seeing a trend away from requiring these large setbacks in front that eliminate parking in those required areas. It kind of becomes there's a mental feeling you get when you're driving down the road and you see a large setback and you don't see any parking within it. You kind of start thinking that there's no parking available. So this is something that we're kind of seeing as a trend right now. Staff sees no issues with it. The only thing that we thought of was that the landscaping requirement. We really want to make sure that if we are allowing cars that close to the front, the front property line, we want to see some landscaping in there. The nice thing with this is, typically waivers issued by the Planning and Zoning Commission are not encouraged. And when they are allowed, there has to be some sort of conditions as to when they are permitted to be granted by the commission. In this case, we would now have two. We have the landscaping thing, and we have the fact that it's only on local roads. So I don't see any issues with that. I think we would be, well within the rights of the commission to approve that. I think that's about all I have. But if you have any questions for me, feel free to let me know.
Good. Well, is there anyone out there in the audience with any questions regarding this application?
I don't see any hands.
All right, we'll start with the commission. Mr. Millette.
Question, I think for our director. Do we have a definition of local road?
Yeah, it's a fairly standard, anything that is owned by the town. So if it's a state road, it would not be a local road. Anything that's maintained by the town would be a local road.
So that would be my default. So makes sense to me. Would we treat this similar to how we treat the additional approval, say for the higher light poles. So instead of, was it 14, we go to 26 or something? Would it be the same?
It would be similar. In this case, we wouldn't be requiring an additional special permit for it. It would just be a waiver that the commission could grant.
It's part of the conditions or the motion. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. That's my questions.
Okay, Ms. Blunt.
I'm having a hard time visualizing a 10-foot setback from the road. Is it a 10-foot setback from a sidewalk next to the road or the road? Because 10 feet isn't really very long.
So
It would be, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Justin.
It would be 10 feet from the front property line. So a lot of times, if there is a sidewalk, that front property line is typically behind the sidewalk. So you would have the area from the sidewalk to the the property line, and then 10 feet from there. It would not include the right of way. So it'd be the right of way plus 10 feet.
Okay. And the word may is the key word there. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, Miss Adams.
So I can have a visual mindset. So 10 feet setback, would that be something, say, such as the setback from, say, for instance, the CVS parking lot there, where the diner and Subway is? How many feet would that be, Justin? I know it's an impromptu question. It's okay if you don't have that in front of you. What would that setback be to the parking lot, to that shopping plaza? I know there's
Rite Aid may be closer to that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, just so I can have a visual as the
Rite Aid,
park.
not CVS.
Do you mean Walgreens?
Oh, Walgreens. Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
long? Yeah.
Yep. So let me check. So Walgreens from the property line, and it's kind of angled, but you know what? Let me share my screen real quick, and I can kind of pull that up for you.
Is that a local road?
Well, it's a
It's
main road,
not-
but I just want to get an idea of what size, like.
Yeah, that's true. That's a main road.
Or maybe Jerome. How about Jerome Avenue, where the high rise is?
Oh,
there?
Republic.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We can check Republic. That's a good example. So Republic, who's on the agenda later tonight, and this is going to be a very, very rough number here, but
Yeah, it's okay. Just have an idea.
from the sidewalk, so from the front property line to approximately where their patio starts is about 8 feet. So,
Okay.
Again, that's a rough number.
Right. And then next
but-
door right there, Jerome would be better because the parking lot is right there around the
Right.
sign area.
Mhm.
What is that? It's called a parapet, right? Where the grass is mowed.
Where are you looking here?
The Jerome, the building next to it. Come down the screen. to the
Post
bottom.
office, right?
This one here?
No, come down.
Oh, further
one
down?
more. That one, the last one there.
This
That
one here?
Yeah.
So let's see here.
That grass,
From-
where two cars.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yep, from the property line to the parking is roughly 11 feet.
Okay, so it's close. So I just wanted to have in mind what something would look like, the parking close to the local road.
Yep.
That's fine. You answered my question. Thank you so much. I just wanted to have a visual.
Okay.
No problem.
great. Thank you. Mr. Bolton.
No questions for me.
Mr. Hussein.
Yeah, I actually have a couple. I'm a little bit undecided on this one only because has your client purchased the property yet?
No, they haven't, but they've entered into an agreement to purchase it, contingent on approvals.
Yeah, and I assume this is not a big contingent, just passing or not, correct, Dave?
Well, it's one of the first steps. Yes, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
But
I've never seen the contracts. I wish I could answer that.
Well, the reason I say that is because I mean, I like the idea, the way that you and Justin presented it. What I don't like is that you guys are focused on the property and not the local roads that are being affected and the residents that are being affected. So I think for me to make a good decisions, and I know you said there's only a handful of PODs left, I would love to see what local roads are affected that does intersect the PODs to see who is being affected before we make that decision. Because I don't want us to make a decision and then a local road somewhere that has a lot of housing that has one POD area has been affected now. That's why I would like to see some more visual, at least to see what streets or the local roads are going to be affected in Bloomfield from the POD properties that are still within that. And again, until then, again, I don't know if you have enough time with your contracts or not for the next meeting or not. But if you can show us that, that would at least help me make my decision. But also at the moment, I don't have a problem making at the time when you're ready to do it, a case by case scenario for each property until we make that decision, and where you would have to present again for your property or the property you want to purchase, that's fine too. So I think, as again, my worry is not on the property or the property or the PODs, it's just more of the local roads and the residents that are affected by this change.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Peters. Any questions?
No, Commissioner Hussein, I already took the words out of my mouth, so I'll leave it at that.
Okay, Mr. Bolton.
I think you went to Mr. Bolton already, Mr. Chair.
Oh, okay, so people moving around, the screen is moving around. Ms. James.
Hi, my one question, I guess, is what might be an alternative if, if the amendment doesn't go through? Have you considered that?
Again, Dave Ziyax, no, we really haven't. It's really a function of, wanting to provide sufficient parking for the size project that we think we need to build to make it really economically viable to move forward. And again, as Justin pointed out, in our particular case, and on the road that we're looking at, again, I understand the difficulty because this is a regulation change, but the only reason why I'm bringing it up, just to keep it in perspective, is the way the whole site would exist out there. I think it would give a really nice residential feeling, multifamily feeling with the part. It seems a little strange, but the parking brought up closer to the sidewalks, nicely landscaped, rather than just this arbitrary 40 feet of grass that's been mowed for the last 30 years out there. It doesn't really serve any purpose. And I understand Mr. Hussein's comment about, again, the concern is there someplace else where this could be a problem that we're not thinking about versus, not the actual intent of the regulation, which sounds, I think everybody agrees, sounds pretty harmless. But is there something going on somewhere else that, I hate that term, but it's the unintended consequences, I think that's what Mr. Hussein was referring to.
Right.
The only thing I think that I know for sure, I'm not too sure where there's any of these oddball PO spaces. I was looking over here. By the way, I like your new website. If folks haven't had a chance to go on the revised website, it's vastly superior, I think, to the older version that existed for quite some time. But if we were to look at the zoning map is quickly, I know the agenda is ridiculously long tonight for everybody.
Sure,
but
I mean, just quickly, Mrs. Zayek, we don't need to just go through the POD part. No, I have a simple question to you, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, go right ahead, please do.
Before we go on to any questions, because I don't know if I just want to say, so you haven't considered any alternatives?
Not at this time. No, this is where we are right now this evening, and alternatives would come later if necessary. But I think it would end up being a reduced project, that's for sure, because parking and the size of the building and everything are all interrelated with each other.
Okay, Kevin. Sorry about that.
I'm sorry, Renee. I do apologize. Yeah. I guess one question I had for you, Mrs. Zayak. Sorry, yeah, this is Zayak, I said it correctly.
Close enough.
Would you, I mean, I think the part where it says for any parcel located in a local road in the town of Bloomfield.
Yes.
Why would you not change that application just for for Jolly Drive? And then that would satisfy your case and that's it. Why do you feel we need to affect all the other local roads in town? And we can look at those in case by case versus that.
Oh, I think I was being less site specific, only in the terms of the regulation in general. You know, obviously, for our purposes, Jolly Drive is fine. But you know, whether or not maybe Justin can chime in on that, whether or not it's appropriate to put the name of a street specifically versus you know, a little bit more generality to the regulation that, you know, so it doesn't become, I don't know what you want to call it, a spot regulation or something like that. You know.
Yeah, we have to keep the zones themselves uniform, so we wouldn't want to, you know, call out certain areas of the zone where certain things are allowed. So I'd recommend against doing something like that because it could create issues later on. Say someone on a different street wanted to do it, they see that, you know, Jolly Drive is allowed, why aren't we allowed? And, you know, it could create some potential lawsuit headaches later on.
Yeah.
But one of the things that you might want to remember is, or review again, is within the regulation itself, the commission has the authority to increase buffer requirements if the project abuts a residential zone. So you already have that in the regulation. We're not tampering with that one at all or revising that one. So if a site-specific application comes in and there's some reason that there should be a larger buffer because, as you were saying, another residential use or some other sensitive use that's next to it, you already have the authority to require a bigger buffer.
Since you took on the responsibility of including all the local roads in town, if we deferred or we tabled this to the next meeting for you to present all the local roads that would be affected that has a POD intersection, would that throw your application off?
You know, in all honesty, I'm not going to say that that's the case. You know, I'm not aware of some, you know, I hate to use the term, you know, drop dead date or something, you know, type of thing. But you know, it's a little bit difficult to answer only because my client isn't with me this evening. No, the
reason I only say that is I'm not comfortable voting for it now like that. That's why I'd prefer to see some more clarity. That's
I'll leave it, Mr. Hussein, if there's enough. Well, I don't want to minimize your question, but if there's enough of the rest of the members that want to see the same thing, that feel that they would not feel comfortable voting for this tonight, then obviously I would agree to table it because I don't want negative votes just based on a lack of information that satisfies the commission members, that type of thing, you know. Obviously, we work with the commission all the time. I will provide whatever you folks need. So if it's the general consensus of the commission that you want to see that information, then please let me know and I'll get what you need.
Okay. Well, I don't have any questions either, so we can move on to comments. We'll start with Ms. James. Any comments?
No comments, thank you.
Mr. Bolton.
I echo Commissioner Hussein's concerns. The unintended consequences, I can't quantify or qualify, and so I am certainly extremely hesitant to support this. That's it, Commissioner. That's it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Peters.
I also align with Commissioner Hussein. There's just too many unintended consequences that may incur, and I feel like the commission would benefit for more information to develop or, you know, allow us to answer this question or to provide our full support. So
Thank you. Mr. Hussein.
Mr. Hussein agrees with my comments that I initially said.
Ms. Blint.
I have confidence in the fact that the town staff is seeing a trend to reduce setbacks, and the fact that we have the word may reduce being proposed for this text amendment, I think covers us because it is by default a case-by-case basis. So I'm fine with it.
Ms. Adams.
I agree with my colleague, Ms. Blint, case by case. Thank you.
Mr. Millette.
Yeah, I agree on the case by case. We have the word may. It is very limited to only the POD district, which, you know, theoretically there could be other parcels that would be eligible to request. They may not be permitted, or we may not give them the reduced setback, or we may, depending on whether it's a local road one, and you know, whether we feel it's appropriate for the location. So as amended, July 27th, I have no concerns.
Yeah, I'm gonna come back to Mr. Hussein, do something a little different. Mr. Hussein, do you, now that you've heard some additional comments from some of the commissioners, are you comfortable at all with May, or is your preference still to get as much information as you can before you can make a decision?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the language. I still would prefer to see some of the unintended consequences that the roads that would be affected before I make a decision, because local roads in all our towns is what's key to me, I think.
Okay. And my comment would probably echo Mr. Hussein that I'd rather be safe than sorry. I'm confident that this will probably get through. I don't see no reason why not. But I just, I guess if there are some concerns with some of the commissioners, then, you know, it's probably better to just be safe than sorry. And, you know, 1 month is not gonna, you know, kill the project. And I don't think there's no attempt to try to kill it either, Dave. I just think
Yeah, no, I understand.
there's some concern, and we might be better off just getting all the information and then moving forward.
I also have another question, Mr. Chair, if that's okay. I know
Sure.
we're in the comment section, but
That's okay. Go ahead.
have we revised our regs for Jolly Drive before for this particular project? I feel like, and I know that Mr. Ziyax has been in front of our commission so often, I could
For ages.
be confused, but I feel like it's very close to changing our regs for one project versus, I'm sorry, but you might have to go back to the ZBA for a variance on this one. So I just want to get some context, because as much as I think that this is a fine text amendment, I just want to make sure that we're not revisiting the same project too many times with text amendments.
Well, the only text amendment that we did was way back. We fixed, I call it fixed, some problems with the multifamily regulation that was put in, not by us. There was an addition to allow multifamily, literally in almost any zone, but specifically in the PO zone, under a definition of multifamily. It was a little bit of a weird regulation. It was kind of strapped on by someone quite a few years ago. And so we brought that part of the regulation more up to speed with today's developments, you know, as far as ratios and things like that. But the idea that multifamily was allowed in the PO zone, you know, we didn't add that. We just altered the specifics of the regulation to meet modern day standards, because they were a little weird. They were out of whack. And the commission went along, felt strongly about that. I think that was all the changes were always done by a unanimous vote. And then we added, if you recall back a year or two ago, we modified the sign regulations
Yes.
to allow informational directional signs in very specific situations. I don't know if any other applications have come before you with that other than our own, but that was sort of related to this project as well. But so there hasn't been a lot of things. I don't think it's fair to say there's been a lot of special kind of considerations here for this particular project. It has evolved. There's no question. I've been here many times over the years. But I think, maybe potentially this could assist some of the existing medical uses, both on this side of the street and the office buildings across the street in Northwestern Boulevard there, that may be having some parking issues. I know that those office buildings down there are jam packed in the morning. One of my doctors is down in that grouping, and there are people parking on the street there and things of that nature. So maybe this would help them fill in some space on their properties to add some additional parking, because they're faced with that same 40-foot setback in that PO zone across the street. So that it might assist them once this became available. But
Not to belabor the
it's a
point.
long-winded answer to your question, but
And it's getting late, so.
I don't think there's
Cut
anything
it
really
right there.
special going on here. No.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, Dave, is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, I mean, I think at this point, I've heard the commission members, and as much as nobody likes delaying things, I understand your question. I will work with Justin to give you an appropriate answer for the next meeting. And hopefully the answer is that there isn't any unintended consequences as a result of this, and therefore the commission can move in a favorable direction.
All right, good. Well, the chair entertain a motion to table this application until next week. I'm sorry, not next week, to our next meeting next month.
I'll move to
Second.
It's been moved in second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of tabling this application till next meeting, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, the chair votes aye.
Well, thank you, folks, and unfortunately, enjoy all the heat. Okay, if you like 95-degree weather, you're going to be a big fan tomorrow. So,
Yeah.
thanks very much.
Okay.
Good night. Bye-bye.
All righty. Okay, next item on the agenda is also public hearing. I'll read the legal notice. Legal notice published in the Hartford Current, July 14th and July 21st, 2023. Legal notice is hereby given that the Town Planning and Zoning Commission will hold its regular meeting virtually via Zoom on Thursday, July 27th, 2023, to consider the following. Special permit application from Michael Brown for approval to open an outdoor gastro park consisting of approximately 4 licensed food trucks at property located at 64 Jerome Avenue in a BCD zone. Owner, Connecticut Medical Realty, LLC. Justin, is anyone here for that?
Yes, we have 2 people for that. Just a little bit of intro too. I did speak to Dr. Miller today, who's the property owner, about some outstanding issues that we need to work through. Dr. Miller did say that he was willing to table this till the next meeting, but I do see that both Mike and Ken are on, so if they have anything to add, I would say that they could speak at this time.
Okay, so we'll just, are we eventually tabling this based on the conversation you had earlier? So I mean, is he gonna present and then we're gonna just table, or how do you?
I don't think we need a full presentation tonight because some things might change in the meantime, but you know, I'd recommend tabling at some point, but just in case they had anything they wanted to add to what I mentioned.
Okay, Mike, without presenting anything, is there anything that you quickly wanna just let us know about this?
Well, we're very happy about bringing this project to the town of Bloomfield. And we are, looking forward of the next meeting. We just have a few things to go over with the planning and zoning.
Okay.
I want to thank you guys to have us here, and we're looking forward. A lot of residents are very excited about the project coming to Bloomfield.
Oh, okay.
So I just want to say, thanks for having us here, and we're looking forward to talk next month.
Okay, and Ken is okay. You're speaking on behalf of both of you guys?
Yes, he was on, but I think he texted me earlier that he was getting a little bit busy.
Okay.
He was on earlier, so next
All
month
right.
we will still come back to the table.
All right, excellent.
Oh, no, he's here. Ken is here. Ken is here.
So just to say,
oh, okay.
I'm very excited about bringing this to Bloomfield. I think this will be an exciting addition to the community. There was a lot of excitement on Facebook about it. So we'll hope to see you next month.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Ken. And thank you, Mike. Right now, the chair entertain a motion to table this until the next month's meeting.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of tabling this to next month signify by saying aye.
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 Oppose? Abstentions? Chair votes aye. All right, thanks, Mike and Ken. Okay, next item on the agenda is also a public hearing. I'll read the legal notice on that. Published in the Hartford Current, July 14th and July 21st. Legal notice is hereby given that the Town Planning and Zoning Commission will hold its regular meeting virtually via Zoom on Thursday, July 27th, 2023 to consider the following. Special permit application from Advanced Manufacturing LLC for approval to change from warehouse use to manufacturing at property located at 97 West Dudley Town Road in an I2 zone. Owner Carrie Ann and Torrit Warland. Is there anyone here for that, Justin?
It looks like yes. Let me just promote them to a panelist here.
Okay.
Hey there, folks. Oliver here from AMLLC.
Okay.
Oliver.
Would you like to present your application, Oliver?
Sure. I don't have a whole lot to present. I believe the materials were already passed on, but I'm here to answer any questions. And basically what we're looking to do is, so as it says, convert to a small form manufacturing. So what that would entail is basically some small CNC machines and what's called friction stir welding machines, which is functionally similar to CNC machining. And happy to answer any questions regarding that.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Justin?
Yeah, this is another one of those kind of similar uses to what was there before, but just different enough where it needs to come before you guys. There's no changes proposed to the exterior of the building. The parking will remain adequate just as it was before. I believe you're proposing only 9 workers at the site. So I think, no real public interface. It's just going to be a manufacturing. So it's fairly straightforward. The only real main thing is, any building permits that are going to be necessary, of course, need to be obtained after the fact. And, if any special code requirements need to be met, all those will need to be met. But in terms of zoning, it's not really that significant of a change.
Great, thank you. Is there any questions out there, Justin? Anyone in the audience got any questions regarding this?
No hands are raised.
Okay, great. We'll start with the commission. Mr. Millet,
No questions.
Miss Adams,
No questions.
Miss Blint,
Just one very minor question. What is CNC machining? What does that mean?
Computer numerical control machining.
Oh, okay, got it.
It's just, yeah, it's not particularly relevant to the actual operation that's going on. It just means subtractive machining, but yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Hussein.
Commissioner Blint asked my questions, so no questions.
Okay. Mr. Bolton,
No questions.
Mr. Peters,
No questions.
and Miss James.
Yeah, I was going to ask about computer numerically controlled machines. Is that you could just describe the nature of that? Is it like a physical? Are there any safety things, or is it like more of an office and desk thing?
It's certainly so it's not so much office and desk. It's basically it's a good analogy. Think of like a very large drill press that moves in multiple directions. So there are safety things, but just requirements consisting directly of the machine. There's no like environmental hazards or anything like that. So there's some small form safety like with any power tool. But other than that.
Thank you. I appreciate that complex context.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I don't have any questions, but we can go directly to comments. Back to you, Miss James. Any comments?
No, welcome.
Mr. Peters.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. Also welcome.
Oh, great. Mr. Bolton.
No, thank you.
Miss Blint.
Just thanking town staff for streamlining this this application and in anticipation of approval. Welcome.
Mr. Hussein.
Yes, same thing. Once there's no artificial intelligence or any generative AI type stuff, we're good. Thank you. Welcome.
No, sir.
Miss Adams.
None.
Mr. Millet.
Well, after reading the memo, I had to think about what computer numerically controlled machines were, and it finally clicked to me. It's a CNC. So I now know.
There you go.
I knew what a CNC was, but I had no idea what that other thing was. It's the same. Thanks.
Yes, and I don't have any comments upon approval. I wish you the best of luck. At this point, is there anything else you'd like to say regarding this application?
Not as such, but again, I'm always open to questions. So if you think of something, feel free to contact us and we'd be happy to answer it.
Okay, great. At this time, the chair entertain a motion to close this public hearing.
So move.
Seconded.
It's been moved and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, abstention, chair votes aye.
All right, I'll move to approve the special permit application for Advanced Manufacturing LLC to operate a manufacturing facility at 97 West Dudleytown Road in an I2 zone. Owner is Carrie Ann and Turid Warland. The application is found to meet the special permit criteria found in section 9(5)(e) of the zoning regs. The application is approved with the following conditions. The special permit certificate must be filed in the land records within 1 year of approval by the commission, and any additional requirements, permits from the building department as dated in the letter July 25th, 2023 from Justin, from the Director of Planning and Land Use.
There's a second. It's been moved and second. Any further discussion?
Just like to
Seeing
thank
none,
you
all
folks for
those-
your time. Thank you very
all
much.
those-
Oh, we gotta
Okay,
vote.
we have to finish voting first.
Hmm.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Oppose, abstention, chair votes aye. Okay, now you can. Congratulations.
All right, thank you, folks. Appreciate it.
Good night.
Okay, next item on the agenda, once again, is another public hearing. I'll read the notice. Notice published in the Hartford Current, July 14th and July 21st. Legal notice is hereby given that the Town Planning and Zoning Commission will hold its regular meeting virtually via Zoom on Thursday, July 27th, 2023, to consider the following. Special permit application from Youssef Palazzi for approval to open and operate a rental hall facility at property located at 1057 Blue Hills Avenue in a GWB zone. Owner is Eliswa, LLC. Is anyone here, Justin, for that? Oh, yeah, okay,
Yep.
Tony. Okay, Tony, would you like to present your application to us?
Yes, how you doing? Good evening. So we used to have a liquor store as represent Elijah LLC. We had a liquor store in there before they moved out to the neighboring shopping center, and we've been empty for a little while. And we had numerous tenants, potential tenants, looking to open a party hall or to do small birthday parties, meetings, group meetings during daytime, many different options for holding a space for event. So we were talking to Justin. He said, we have to go through this process. So I'm here to see your thoughts on it. There's another one. There's a place called Plush Events on Park Avenue, another shopping center. That's already in operation in town. I'm not sure what so there's a lot of demand for it. Probably like most of the calls I took on was for a party for this event space. Versus I thought it would be a restaurant, but very little for restaurant, more for majority of the calls are for doing an event space for small things like after funerals, people to get together after funerals to have a reception or something small. Yes, repass, yeah. Any kind of meetings. I had a guy who's, I guess his client was state of Connecticut, looking to do it for meetings, to do an event space to have meetings. A real estate called me. So there's numerous, that's why I'm here. So numerous, if nobody does it, I think we have interest in doing it, seeing the amount of interest for that particular business. So just to serve that community in that area. There's a lot of people that in the area that we've talked to. So that sounds like good. We need a place to hold events. And I thought, churches and stuff, but apparently there's a demand for it in that area. It's why they're willing to look at it. So that's why I'm here. I know it's late, so
Okay.
that's it for me.
All right, thank you. Justin? Comments?
Yeah, so, yep, a couple comments. So, like Tony mentioned, there is a very similar operation in the town center called Plush Events. That was approved by this commission, I think, a year and a half ago or so. It was before my time. But we did receive some concerns from neighbors, and I emailed you the letters, so you should have those. The concerns were primarily related to noise, disturbances, traffic, that kind of thing. I do have some thoughts on that, and I have some conditions that I have proposed in my memo that I think will address some of those concerns. The first thing is that I think the commission should place a time limitation on, when events must be ended by. As a suggestion, I think 11 o'clock might be good, but that's up to you guys to determine when would be too late to have anything going past. The other condition, of course, would be that there be no outdoor music. All music must be kept within the building itself. We don't want to be creating any noise issues for neighbors or anything like that. There are some residential areas abutting this this plaza and the plaza next door. So obviously there wouldn't want to be any concerns about that. Other than that, Tony, what's the square footage of this? I have it somewhere.
3,000. It's just above 3,000 square feet, so
Wow.
it's going to be very small in terms of once you divide, put bathrooms in. So I guess talking in terms of for occupancy is going to be very small. Depends on the layout. Will we end up, whoever ends up getting it. So I wouldn't. So a lot of that concern is from the neighboring shopping center, the littering. They don't. We brought that issue before. We've been working with the zoning officer and my attorney. We sweep our parking lot every day. We're responsible property owners. Versus my neighbor doesn't want to do anything. We've talked about this before. I'm not going to waste your time tonight. We're working on it. In terms of so it's going to be. I don't know what the occupancy will be until the plans are submitted to the fire marshal. What the final layout inside would be to move forward with the tenant. Neighbors wise, most of my neighbors know me and they have my number. And I don't, like I said, I operate a grocery store there, so wouldn't want anything to go out of control or, an event that's going to cause more chaotic to existing tenants I have. So we're on property every day, so none of that's going to happen. So. But but we were there if there's something did happen, and we'll follow all town regulations. And I was looking at the plush time. It says from 9 to 12 p.m. is what their operating hours are on their website.
Okay. Is there anyone out there, Justin, for any questions regarding this application? We just got letters.
We did get a letter, but someone who contacted us, I do see is in the audience. So Ricardo, do you have any questions? Yes.
Okay.
Hi, good evening.
Ricardo, can you state your name and address?
Yes, it's Ricardo Vera, 16 Park Avenue in Bloomfield.
Okay.
And my backyard is literally on that line where that parking lot is for that plaza. I've lived here for 11 years, and over that time period, there has been numerous calls from me to the authorities for noise and just loitering and cars basically not revving, but they're like drifting their cars or burning rubber, things like that. And I'm afraid that when you introduce this type of facility or venue, it's going to bring more of that type of those types of incidents. There isn't any security there in that lot. The garbage is all over the place there as well. So I'm not really sure. There's been a car parked in that lot. I want to say it hasn't been moved in about a year and a half. So there's really no one really watching that area.
I don't know if I could answer or not, but we have to remember.
Yes, go ahead.
Can I speak? So yes. We're talking about two properties. Ricardo is the Fresh Farms Market is right against the building is my property line. I'm the owner of that market on that side, and I sweep my parking lot every day. And I would give you my cell phone number. But the other guy, he doesn't want to do anything. He's not from this neighborhood, does not care about Blue Hills. And it's been documented. I'm working with my attorneys because we have a mutual agreement because we share common entrance to the parking lot. So we look like we're one property, but we're two different property. The Napa down that way towards you is not me. It's a different, and the commission knows about it. I've even paved the entrance so my customers don't have to go through potholes, but there's a lot of potholes in that property. It's garbage. If you go there today, there's garbage, sofas, furniture. It's disgusting back there.
I totally understand that, but there's no division. There's no separation of that entire plaza. So
but my side, all I can speak for is my side that I control there. Right. I lost a tenant last time I was here. I was fighting for the liquor store not to move over there, and the commission granted the liquor store to move there, and it's gotten worse because I used to sweep up those bottles every day. Now the other guy doesn't sweep up the bottles. So all I can say is I have cameras on my property. I don't let people litter. I stay on top of it. So all I do is I'm a taxpayer, and just trying to, utilize the property so I can make my mortgage payments and pay town of Bloomfield for taxes. So if I get a potential tenant that's, to do that, I mean, I would do everything in the power to make sure, nothing goes out of control. And that's done through a commercial lease and follow all town regulations. And that's what I intend to do. But I can't speak to the other guy. He can't be, I don't know, zoning has worked hard to try to, get him to do stuff. And I'm working like I told Justin today, I'm working, my attorney is writing him a letter. And I don't, because he's violating our agreements from 2008. There's a mutual parking agreement. So I am doing everything in my part, but I can't go sweep his parking lot. That's not fair, or rebuild his parking lot. I've done parts of it already. I paved the entrance. I have the bills to prove it. And I paved this area. So that's where I'm at with it. And I apologize. I know exactly what you're talking about, Ricardo, because I take photos every day and I send it to my attorneys. I send it up and the guy doesn't care. I mean, the property owner.
I don't think that the major concern for me isn't the trash. I mean, that I get, yes, it's bad, but it's more of the loitering, the noise, the traffic through there, there's no security. There's nothing that's, no one's watching the area, and it's a shared space.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on my end. I don't have that problem. I don't have cars parked there. I get them towed. I have contractors I work with. I watch my cameras. I go after anybody who litters on my property, but I can't do that for my neighbor. And like I said, it's too. Your concern is the guy who butts your property. I'm definitely well over 500 feet. I could take a tape measure and measure it. I will not even come near your house, because when I measured for the liquor store in the same building, there was a kid's daycare, and I was concerned about it, and I brought it to his commission. And when I measured it, and they were just above 500 feet. So those buildings in that parking lot is way more than 500 feet from me. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, I can't, but every shopping center operates. I mean, that's what the police are there for, right? That's their job, to make sure, people aren't loitering or running their tires. And I can't do that as a property owner. All I can do is keep it clean and, light it, put security cameras in there. I mean, I'm a small business. I can't have a security guard sit there,
Okay, well, Ricardo, I think we understand your concerns.
Thank you.
So at this point, if there's no one else out there in the audience, then we would like to move on to the commission. We'll start, Mr. Millette, any questions?
So I think I heard the space was about 3,000 square feet. Was that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What's the capacity for the event after, like you said, you carve up the space for people?
I haven't had a chance to talk to the Blue Hills Fire Marshal, but I'm a firefighter in Newington, so I've got friends in the business, and they said it's per head. All depends on the layout, how many the table sizes. Could vary. So I mean, if I had to guess, I'm going to guess at least 80 people in there is what I would aim at.
Okay, so going to my next question, parking. If we have around 80 people, and I'm not sure who to adjust this question to, but do we have sufficient parking?
Yes, sir. Because we have a mutual parking agreement with the property owner we're talking about since the 1960s, and I did submit it, the plans and the mutual parking agreement with you guys. So there's sufficient parking.
Okay. And you mentioned a different business with the same does the same thing. They're open from 9. I think you meant midnight. I think you said 12 p.m. But
yes, that's what it shows on their website. Yes.
Is that so? As part of the condition, we were recommended to probably add hours of operation. Is that what you would be asking for?
Yeah. So I could stay, competitive with the potential competition, right? Who's in town doing it. So I would do 9 between that time.
And I think, within that, I would, well, maybe I can save that for comments, but I'm thinking, that when music would stop, but we already have the conditions, I believe, of containing that inside. One other thing that's come up with venues like this is, would this be limited to private events, meaning like not ticket selling, but very specific, someone has a private event and it's their invitation only?
Yeah, I would hope so. I don't want this to turn into a nightclub or something. That's not what I'm looking for.
Right, because
And
That's not what we're gonna approve either.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
wouldn't.
yeah.
I wouldn't want to deal with the headaches that come with it, liability wise. So, and I don't want to be out there 2 o'clock in the morning.
That's a different zoning zoning.
Yeah. I don't want this to be a nightclub because listen, I have a lot of friends in town, and I depend on this community, so I'm not looking to call. And I make sure my lawyers on the lease, it's very well clearly worded that whoever the potential tenant is.
And I'm not, I guess my last question is, have we put those in the condition before that it had to be some type of private? I feel like we have.
Yeah, we could do a condition where it has to be private, tickets or no publicly open events, something like that.
Okay, those are my questions.
My only question is that what the plush has that conditions in it, or for the flush event space? I mean, the business that we're kind of monitoring. I mean, whatever they have.
I can't remember, but I know we've talked about this with things like this in the past.
Yeah,
so-
I mean, I'm willing to go by anything that's already set, precedents that's set in town, and I will abide by it as a property owner.
Okay, Ms. Adams, any questions?
No questions.
Mr. Peters?
So I actually have a couple of questions. So I know that the intent is not to be a nightclub, and the intent is to probably end activity around 11 o'clock at night. But is the intent to also just have this to be for funerals and repasses, or is it other activities? Because the reason why I ask this is because it does not have to be a nighttime event for unruly behavior to act. So one of my questions is, will alcohol be permitted in this facility, or will people who rent this facility out be able to bring alcohol? Because that could promote that type of activity.
Absolutely. For my research is, there's another one like this Newington called First Love and another shopping center. So I believe you could, because it's private party, so they could serve alcohol in it. And I'm not sure what the laws are in a private party, because people do that in a church hall or at the there's no. I'm not sure. I couldn't really speak on it, but I know I looked at Plush's website. I think it says on their question page that they could bring alcohol in there. Absolutely, I think it says that, because a party, you're renting it for a party event. And most events and most parties in America includes alcohol. They sell alcohol next door at the shopping center. That was approved a few months ago. So I would imagine that's legal, but I don't know what the rules are. If there was regulations against it.
Okay, so I don't think I need to press that point any further. I think I would rely on you to look into that to figure out what those rules and regulations are, and also implement something that needs to be in place for you and your staff to be able to respond if it becomes excessive. So that'll be my suggestion. But I do want to go back to another point where this facility is, you said 3,000 square feet. I know that's based on occupancy. Occupancy based also relates to parking count, which also denotes the fact that the parking count on your side is not adequate enough, but you have an agreement with the adjacent landlord to accommodate the total amount of parking that would accommodate your full facility. But I would like to touch on this because the public comment was made based on activities that were unruly or concerning to the community. And you stated that that is not on your property side, but you also acknowledged that you have an agreement on your with parking that may lead onto the adjacent property side. So my question is this: so once a event is so large that it extends to the adjacent property side, how are you going to protect and enforce your regulations if you do not have any security to view or view that side and what's the activity on that side that may be detrimental to the neighborhood if you're also allowing the on that property versus yours, but there's also an agreement.
I mean, if like so they could park on ours, we could park on theirs. That's what the mutual parking agreements. But when you talk about security and stuff, I don't know. I mean, there's shopping centers throughout Bloomfield. They all have security at night. I mean, there's restaurants that are open. I mean, you guys, yeah, the word security. I mean, I believe the security is Bloomfield Police has to provide that, right? I mean, you can't ask a landlord. I mean, unless I'm that big, right? We're talking about 80 people, birthday parties or something, and I get it. I mean, there's a chance, right? Like everything has a risk to, right? Some unintentional cost, but I'm only asking to do something that is already permitted in town to do. There's a business that operate another shopping center, 2 miles down the road. I'm not sure if there's a history there or not. But we've had a problem at restaurants, right, in town. There was shootings and stuff. I mean, I'm not looking for that. I don't want to deal with that, and I want to be a good neighbor. And all I've been doing is, talking to Justin is how can I improve that property, how improve that area, and that's all I've been trying to do. So here I am. It was a lot easier. I guess there was nobody had a problem when the neighborhood liquor store was going up, and now I'm on the other side of this and just trying to pay my mortgage and pay my taxes to Bloomfield. And I have potential, many people that, and I talked to my lawyer about it. I don't want any liability. So how do we work the lease with the tenant, whoever that tenant is, to address all those issues? I have the same concerns. I don't want it to go out of control. But that's something that's done, leases, and then we'll abide by all town ordinance that other business in town has to go by. So Plush is the one to look at. So whatever ordinance and everything they follow, we will follow, and we'll do a better job because we're the owners are on the site every day. That's all I can, and I would address any issues that come up.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty much what I'm asking for, and honestly, probably a little bit above and beyond what the ordinances are to prove that you do have consideration of the neighborhood. Not saying that you have to, but that's kind of what I would expect. I feel like that's what the neighbors or the adjacent people would expect. Just to think that there's some kind of thoughtfulness to it, just because there will be this increased level of activity every once in a while, and they will not always be a repass type of thing. It'll probably be a baby shower or a sweet 16 or some other type of event, and the noise level or the level of activity may increase to something to an uncomfortable level for the surrounding environment. And I just think that we just need to think about that a little bit more. And I think that would benefit you to put the community at ease if you can, consider that. That would be the end of my questions.
Mr. Chair, if I could interject, I
Yes.
was able to find the conditions on the Plush approval, so I can read those to you if you like.
Oh, thank you.
So other than the standard conditions, the conditions are the hours of operation shall be limited to no later than 10 p.m. on weekdays and and midnight on weekends. The events there's got to be a typo in this. The events shall be available to individuals and groups to utilize by invitation only, and no tickets shall be sold to the general public. Maximum capacity shall be limited to no more than 75 persons, subject to building department and fire marshal approvals, and all conditions for the serving of alcoholic beverages required by the state of Connecticut shall be complied with.
Okay, thank you. Okay, at least we got something to go by. Well, people have kind of moved around a little bit, so I'm not sure like who's next. Miss Blunt, did you get asked the question yet?
Not yet. I think that
Okay,
most of them have been addressed, so I will just let the next commissioner.
okay, Miss Adams? Questions?
No question. Justin was very clear. Justin, you're just amazing. He's very clear. He read that my question was answered by what he read. Thank you, Justin.
Yeah. Mr. Bolton?
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To the applicant, you won't be preparing, or whoever you lease this out to, there'll be no food preparation at the venue, correct?
No, there's gonna be no kitchen, no commercial kitchen, but what some of the tenants said that they would have, what they wanted to see was a kitchenette, like somewhere like a sink to wash up and, like what they call it, a kitchenette. So no hood system, is required, something, microwave or something. Some are just like stages of food, like a refrigerator, something, not even a full kitchen. So if you get in there, then it gets expensive with the hood systems and to meet the requirements for that.
And the health department approval as well. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Miss James?
I'm curious about trash receptacles. Assuming that there's going to be increased activity, there should be increased kind of waste management.
Absolutely. I mean, we could definitely increase barrels to the property. And, we have trash receptacles in the front of it, but we could add more in the shopping center. That's not a problem.
Thank you. And I'm curious about being conscious of noise and the volume of maybe the music being played at this party. I'm wondering, are you using your own sound system, or is that something that party attendees bring with them?
I know some of the tenants that they would put speakers within, like TVs and screens in there. They would provide that, but I'm pretty sure, some people might want to bring their outside DJs in. But the building itself, that unit is cinder block with insulated. So the entire surrounded by cinder block. And yeah, I mean, absolutely, they have to be. You can't blast music. That's not what I want to hear. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear it outside of that. I wouldn't want to hear it outside of their that unit. As a landlord, I would say that I wouldn't want to hear that. Then there's a problem if that music is, is coming out of there.
Yeah, I'm
Plus,
curious.
And we could do stuff when in the build process. We could put in. There's ways to do it. How you frame it. There's ways to soundproof it, so that you can put inside the construction. When we do that planning part with the architect and the designers, hey, what can we do to keep the sound here? We don't want it to come out. How can we make it acoustic inside with insulation? There's ways to do that. Because I had another property where I had a dog training place. So I was worried about the rest of the tenants hearing the dogs bark. And we were able to comply that by adding that part of the design phase of it.
Thank you. I may have a question for Justin now. Is there any context or kind of standards for like a decibel level of noise, so that the neighbors can kind of have a gauge of when it becomes too excessive, within like how would they have some recourse?
Yeah, so there is a noise ordinance in town. It's enforced by the police department.
Thank you. That's all for questions for me.
Okay, Mr. Hussein?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. What's the total parking for the combined lot?
I don't have a count. I always had a site plan. I don't know if it's on the site plan, but I don't have a site plan outside. I don't have that count.
Yeah, I think, maybe there's a lot of stuff that you probably need to get updates on and represent here, because I think there's a lot of questions that's being unanswered. Because my concern is that you're saying this is already a contentious property. You clean in your part, then the other guy doesn't clean his part. What if it's Saturday morning and you have a repass, you have 80 people, there's people trying to use a supermarket, then there's a parking issue. So we don't even know what the total parking and what's the capacity of that event, right, or that location. I mean, based on the site plan here, I don't know, averaging
But Kevin, I mean, be all honest, Commissioner, we didn't have this question when the liquor store was going in there on the next
Sorry?
turn. When we did, I was here opposing the liquor store moving out. And when they were going, I was worried about the bottles and everything else that I was saying. And none of that was addressed that day, when I was here before.
No, this is
There's plenty of parking in there. The parking. I'm from visual. I'm not an architect. I'm not a designer.
Yeah, but I think that's probably part of the challenge. We have to be visual and make decisions because, like I said, if there is 80 parking in there, your capacity is 80, and then it's a Saturday repass, and then the supermarket. You said there's a supermarket there, right? Isn't there also a daycare in there or childcare services?
That's not on that's on the other side, towards Park Avenue.
Right. But there's childcare services there too, correct?
What is it?
Isn't there childcare services in the other building? I know it's not your building.
Yeah, no, I believe there is. There's a state Kirk, some type of state thing that was right next to it, and you guys approved a liquor store right next door to it.
Right. So again, I think, Tony, you're missing the point. We're just looking at your application, not Plush or the liquor store or anything like that, just your application. I think there's still insufficient information. I'd like to know what's the number of total parking, because if indeed we do approve it and you have up to 50 people and let's just say 40 parking, and that covers more than 40% of the property. My contention is that you said that you clean your side, which is the northern part, right? You're saying though, but there you have a shared parking. I think this is the point Mr. Peters was making, that now you're encroaching in his parking, but then you say you only clean your part. Does that mean for every single event that you have, you're also now going to clean his side of the parking?
That's that's the agreement that was set back in.
That's not what you said when
when
Mr. Cruz asked a question. You said that you're not responsible for that side of the parking, right?
No,
You said
sir, it's a mutual aid. I'm supposed to maintain my side. They could use our side and mutual aid, and worse. That's what's a mutual parking agreement.
All right. I would like to see more information on the total parking and stuff like that, and see what would happen with that. And then
Yeah, I can get that to you. That's not a problem.
Yeah, the
absolutely
total.
no problem.
Okay, the liability part too. You probably need to look into that because you said you don't want to inherit that liability, but we don't want you to pass it over to the town too, because I'm concerned about a liquor permit, like you mentioned, and I think Justin covered that. Because of course, I'll be honest with you, I've seen a lot of more day parties now, and there's been a lot of underage drinking in these day parties because they're beating the ordinances. They're doing it now between 2 and 8, and they'll call it a day party, right? Nothing against people doing businesses and stuff like that, but as you said, we want to make sure that you're covered and make sure those liquor permits are pulled by whoever you have strong contracts in place there and stuff like that. But the main thing for me was the parking and make sure it doesn't affect the other businesses. So maybe if you can, I guess in my opinion, I'd prefer to see some more information on what you're planning.
So I'm doing a quick parking calculation right now. On Tony's property, there's 76 spaces. And on the neighboring property, there are about 230.
Okay.
So that about 300 spaces total between the two.
Okay. Thanks, Justin.
Yep.
Yeah, well, thanks once again. So Kevin, how just to get back to you, are you satisfied with that?
Yeah, I'm satisfied with the numbers. I'm
Justin?
comfortable with the numbers because he does appear to have the space, correct? I'm just worried more about some of the other liability stuff and the liquor requests and stuff like that. But if based on what Justin presented from the other application, and if Tony is good with that. Actually, I had one more question. The grocery store, Tony, you have how long, what's your operating hours for that grocery store?
We open up 9 to 7 o'clock. We close
9
at
to
7.
7.
9 to 7.
Okay.
We're still on COVID hours.
And that's also Saturday and Sunday, or?
Saturday and Sunday we're closed at 4. Saturdays to 7. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm comfortable with those questions now, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I at this point I don't have any questions. We can go to comments. And we'll start with Mr. Millette.
So thank you, Justin, for bringing up the conditions for Plush. I think that'll give us a baseline.
Yeah.
I think, if we were to make a motion, I think I would include the 10 p.m. weekdays and the midnight weekends, the private invite, no tickets sold, and, alcohol would obviously follow all the state regulations. I think that would align it to our prior approvals for similar use.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Millet. Ms. Blunt.
It sounds like the applicant is a longtime business owner who is trying to be a responsible person when it comes to this particular application. And I would expect that there would be increased waste management services, as mentioned before, and a very good effort to soundproof the space, to lessen noise, and continue to pursue whatever could be agreed upon between the two property owners for improvements to that area, because it's like night and day on both sides. And I think that we need to continue to work together, the town and the property owners, to improve that overall property.
Mr. Hussein.
I share the same comments as Commissioner Millet and Commissioner Blinn. And I'd also just add to make sure that we have enough insurance in there for any special events. And I think that's part of the condition to correct, Justin, so that everyone is covered. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Bolton.
No comments.
Ms. Adams.
Ooh, I almost signed off the call. It's off-putting to sit here and hear the commissioner pretty much badgering the applicant. We just have to be a little more careful in how we respond in these meetings and the aggressive tones that we use, because never mind if the applicant is a little unseated, we have a decorum to uphold. I almost signed off. I have no other comment.
Mr. Peters.
No comment.
Ms. James.
I'd like to echo Ms. Blint's comments about waste management and soundproofing. I am hopeful that this new site, as a site of celebration, of a site of communion, will plant a seed of positivity. I realize that there are some downsides and there are some risks that are held by the concerns held by the residents, but it sounds like Mr. Yosef is very committed to his property and thoughtful about what he wants to do with it going forward. So I hope that we can build trust in this project, and I really wish you luck.
Thank you. And I also echo some of the prior comments from the Commissioner Millet, Commissioner Blint, Commissioner Hussein, Bolton, Commissioner James. I also hope that that you continue to be as conscientious as you are about your property, and I hope that that you have good success with it upon approval. So is there anything else, Tony, you'd like to say before we make a motion to close this public hearing?
No, I appreciate your time. It's late. What I would say is that I've been working with Justin and redeveloping that property, and whatever you guys want to do, I'm willing to invest in that neighborhood. That's, the community has served me well, but I'm not looking to that neighborhood. I know everyone, most of my neighbors, by in a first name basis, they know me, and some of them do have my cell phone numbers, and I will be there much as I can. And I'm not, I'm not in and out. So I'm invested in Blue Hills, and I plan to be there for a while, and hopefully good things will come in that neighborhood.
Okay, great. Thank you, Tony. At this time, the chair entertain a motion to close this public hearing.
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been moved and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstention, chair votes aye. Okay, guys.
Steve, you got some
Your
good.
motion?
Steve, you got some good conditions. I like your conditions.
I'll go for it. So I'll move to approve the special permit application for Osef Palazzi. I apologize if I pronounced that wrong. To
Okay.
operate a rental hall at 1057 Blue Hills Avenue in the GWD zone. Owner Isleswa LLC. The application is found to meet the special permit criteria found in section 9.5.e of the zoning regulations. The application is approved with the following conditions. Conditions outlined in Justin LaFountain's memo dated July 24th, 2023. And as read on the record, to align with prior conditions for a similar venue. One, that the hours of operation for weekdays would start at no earlier than 9 and end no later than 10 for the event schedule. Weekends 9 a.m. to midnight. The capacity would align with whatever the fire marshal allowed. The events would be private, meaning no public sales or ticketed events, and all alcohol would abide by the state of Connecticut regulations for any use on the property. I think I got that.
Thank you.
One quick thing. Do we want to include the 75 max too, like the other one?
I put in the fire marshal because I didn't know the space difference.
Okay, I agree.
So I'll let them give the official professional sizing.
All right. Oh, yes. Thank you, Stephen.
Okay, there's a motion out there. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved in second. Any further discussion?
Just a point of
Oh, go ahead.
point of clarification. When we say, I realize the other conditions didn't specify this, weekdays versus weekends. I assume by weekends we mean Friday and Saturday, and then weekdays we mean Sunday to Thursday.
Yes.
I
Is Sunday night a
That's a school night.
that does make sense. I think we should probably clarify that the midnight would be Friday evening and Saturday evening, and then the weekdays would be Sunday through Thursday. That makes sense. It's a good one.
Yep.
I do have just one quick comment before we approve. I think that Mr. Palazzi gave us some really good insight into what the town might want to try to plan for more as we go forward with our conservation plan of development. If you got a lot of calls for group meetings and people seeking venues for things during the day, especially, that might be something that we should try to incorporate.
Okay. Sounds good. So I believe there was a motion out there by Steve, and I believe it was seconded. We were into the discussion phase. Is there any further discussions? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving that motion signify by saying aye.
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 Oppose,
Oppose.
abstentions? And the chair votes aye. Okay. Next item on the agenda is also a public hearing. And I'll read the legal notice. Legal notice published in the Hartford Current, July 14th and July 21st, 2023. Legal notice is hereby given that the Town Planning and Zoning Commission will hold its regular meeting virtually via Zoom on Thursday, July 27th, 2023, to consider the following. A special permit application from Alan Franco for approval to open and operate a dance studio at property located at 31 Toby Road, Unit 14 and 15 in an I-1 zone. Owner is 31 Toby Road Ltd. Is there, Justin, anyone here for that?
No, we have to push this one to next month. Unfortunately, the applicant didn't get the mailings out to the neighbors on time per our regulations, so I'll have to do that for the August meeting.
Fantastic. Is there a motion to table this application to our next meeting?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Any further discussion on it? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstention, chair votes aye. Okay,
Anyone left? The state plan.
no, we did that.
We have one site plan, I think.
Oh, Republic. Under new business. Okay, the next item on the agenda under new business is a revised site plan application from Republic Restaurant for approval of a proposed addition to the front of the building and building signage at property located at 39 Jerome Ave in a BCD zone. Owner 39 Jerome Ave Realty LLC. Justin.
Yes, we have representatives from Republic here. Lisa, are you there? Can you unmute yourself?
Yes.
Can you hear us? Can
you hear us?
Yep, we got you.
Here. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Okay, good evening. Okay, Lisa, would you like to present your application? Oh, there you go.
I would love to turn it over to Matt.
We're working on it.
Okay,
Good evening, everyone. Sorry for the lengthy evening. I'll try and keep this short as possible. This application is for Republic Restaurant at 39 Jerome Avenue. Proposing to add 536 square feet. Sorry for the exact measurements. We did do that calculation, so it is exact. Enclosing a portion of the existing patio. I'll take you through a couple drawings that we have, and then just telling you a little bit about the purpose of why they want to do this. Going through, here's the existing site building. That what you see in gray is what we're proposing to enclose. That's currently the existing patio. No increase to the parking because what's enclosed, what's out there now for outside dining is going to be the same occupants once we enclose the space. I know a question came up from design review. They were asking a few questions and they were very, very helpful in our design. We went back a few times. We did receive approval from them. But one of the questions that popped up was how wide the existing drive was. It's 28 feet across. Enough space that two cars can go both ways. And you'll see in this presentation, we were proposing a small lined walkway. But what you see up here, these are the existing conditions of the two existing patios on each side. And this is what we're proposing to enclose over here. Some existing elevations on the outside of what the current conditions look like. Once again, seeing this lower portion, this is what the area you'll see that's going to be changed by adding the addition here. Outside existing photos, what it currently looks like, and seeing the patio, you know, that's currently on the outside now, and the existing sign that's going to remain. Just a close-up, just reminding everyone what it looks like. This is kind of the footprint showing the 536 square feet. For features, it will have glass around on 3 of the sides, keeping it nice and glassy. On this side where the entrance side is, there are 2 proposed doors. I'll show you some details of that because I know that came up in design review as well, asking for a little bit more detail, which I'll get into in a couple minutes. This is the drawing that came through from design review, showing some of the plantings that are proposed with some small arborvitaes, some hollies and some daylilies, some light fixtures on the outside. There will just be these sconces that are going around the perimeter, keeping the light and all full cut off with light. A roof plan with the assistance with design review. We went through and went back and forth on, we did make it a hip roof and kind of it creates a mechanical well. So the mechanical unit that's going to serve this space is going to be hidden from view from down below. Just a couple more existing photos. You'll see the color change a little bit where it's had this off green. The photo on the right is what's shown as where that proposed walkway would be. So all the plantings that are there are going to remain. So we weren't going to make the building bare. Another picture, just a close up of the sign. The sign is going to be remaining. I know that was in the application. We initially had proposed that it was going to be changed, but we're not going to do that. We're going to keep the existing sign. This is the new elevation shown here with some heights from grade. The bottom soffit is about 9 feet, 9'3" off of ground, 9'9", excuse me, 9'9" off of ground. Then the hip roof brings it up about another 5 feet, but still much lower than the existing roof. That's what it looks like with the rendering in color, with the plantings out front. So the owner is looking to propose to change the color from that greenish color to, and the red that you saw before in the original photos, to more of a white with an AZEK trim on the outside. And then the clapboard sides would be painted a grayish color. Just the side profile, in black and white. And then again in color, what it will look like from the side. Once again, this would be the entrance point. And then in color, these are all presented and well liked, well viewed by design review. These are the doors that I know there were questions. Kevin, I believe you had a couple before about what this was like. So this is an inside and an outside photo of the proposed door. It's called the Renlita door Evo series, where it just folds up almost like a bifold going up into the air. So this is what it looks like when it's in the open position. Some details, just the hardware of what it looks like. And I know this would be what Kevin was really looking for, is the overall, what it would look like, the heights that we have. So the rough opening's 8 feet because it's an 8-foot door. Underneath it, you'd have 7 foot 1.5 clear, and it sticks out from the building about 7'2". And these are just some working drawings we had worked out with the owner of how, the constructability of it, the insulation, probably a little bit more, too much detail you need to see for right now, but just working drawings. Kind of shows that window well for the mechanical room that's going to be above up on the flat roof. And this is the proposed render that we have. And that's all I had.
Okay.
Leave it back to you, Justin, if we could, or commissioners.
Thank you. Justin.
Yeah, so this is a pretty straightforward application in terms of planning and zoning. They did, as they mentioned, go through design review board. This set of drawings that was last presented to design review was very well received by the board. They unanimously voted to send it forward to planning and zoning with their endorsement. I did want to point out one inaccuracy that I had in my staff report. In the heading for it, I included that there was new signage. Originally, the plan was to include new signage, but they changed that. There's no new signage proposed now, so just to avoid any confusion there. But the footprint is not expanding at all because, of course, it is already a patio, so everything is in line there, and everything is being brought up to, kind of a nice new aesthetic. So.
Excellent. Thank you. Any questions from okay, can we get everybody back on the screen? Thank you. Okay. So let's start with questions from the commission. We'll start at the bottom. Mr. Bolton.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I have no questions, but thank you for recognizing me.
Mr. Peters,
I also have no questions.
Ms. James,
No questions.
Mr. Hussein.
No questions, but I just want to mention that they did come for the design review board 3 times. So that's why the applicant was mentioning all the changes that they've included. So thank you.
Excellent. Ms. Adams,
No questions.
Mr. Millet,
No questions.
Ms. Blint,
I'm the only person with questions?
so far.
Well, it's a more of a nighttime safety thing. Do you plan to light the new sidewalk?
We have some siding, so there's two sets of lights that are out there. The one that we were showing there. Then there's some soffit lights, but currently right now the owner has those building lights on the side already. They're going up high in the peak, so there's enough
right.
getting down onto that surface.
Okay.
Okay.
And then the other thing is the new patio enclosure seems like it might on the topic of signage like obscure the sign that's already there. So if you were coming from, say, you know, the Wells Fargo south, you might not see a sign. And I don't know if you would consider maybe adding one on that north side of the building. It's kind of empty and maybe artistically, you know, kind of repeat the same beautiful font that you've got on the front side of the building, just so that people approaching from that side also know who you are. But then the new door, the nice new garage door that opens, is that opening to another patio? Or when it opens, what's the purpose?
So currently, right now, the owner is the outside dining area. And oftentimes right now, and with inclement weather, sometimes, you know, people are like, okay, well, it's raining now, they can't sit there. So currently the owners, they still have a portion of the patio that's on the opposite side. So but this is kind of an expansion of an outside. So it's inside outside, because you can open up doors and kind of still have that feeling of, you know, summer or spring weather.
Being outside.
So
Beautiful.
you're increasing the patio, keeping the same patio size. The doors, you're not putting tables underneath those doors, because that's the main entrance into, if that's your question was.
Right. Great. Thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you.
And I have no questions. We'll go to.
Sorry, quick question on Katie. Did you get the handout on the and I guess it's a great question, but is the one on A2, page A20, that says right side exterior elevation, would that be the one that Commissioner Blint is talking about? If you come down south from Wells Fargo, is that that Republic sign is going to be there, right? Because that's what you guys show on your plan, no?
No, it's, oh, I see. Yeah, on the plan, it shows.
Oh, but you're saying on the rendering that he did, they didn't show it.
No, I'm looking at A2 now.
Is it the right elevation? That's the one, right? That's the north side of the building,
It must be.
right? Yeah, you're
I
right.
didn't see it. I didn't see it though in whatever was on the screen here. The PowerPoint. That's what made me think of it.
No, you make a good point there, right? So I made the assumption that it's going to be there based on the A2 drawing.
That's okay.
No,
I mean,
but they should clarify that though, because if they show it in the drawing, we hope that Katie is right. It should be there to show them, right? Show the Republic.
But I'm confused, Kevin, which you're looking at sheet A 2.0?
Yeah, that Justin sent us out a package. And on a sheet number called A20, it shows Republic on the, I guess, the east side, which you call the front side. And then there's another one right below that says the right side, which probably is the north side, and Republic is on both, is marked in both. Justin, do you have that one that you sent us?
Yes, and keep in mind, these are the older plans that don't reflect the new changes that went through design review board.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's
So-
probably what it is.
So what
Okay.
happened, well, if that's the old set, then Justin, you're correct. So Kevin, originally, we had proposed, as you may recall from design review, we had Republic, it was written on 3 sides of the building.
Right.
Oh,
It was up higher, so that's all taken off. So my apologies if you guys don't have an updated set of drawings, but Justin can get you that if you need it. So there are not signs up on top, calling out Republic Restaurant.
Just on the front face.
Correct. We're just keeping the existing sign as is.
Okay.
I was just suggesting go for it if you can
Yeah, we don't.
on that north side.
Yeah, it's a great comment.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I just had the question. That was it. Sorry.
Okay, I hit something. Okay, where are you? Oh, here we go. Okay, and I don't have any questions, so we can go to comments. We'll start at Mr. Millet. Any comments?
No comments.
Ms. Blint?
Awesome plan.
Okay, Mr. Bolton?
No comments. Love Republic.
Okay, Mr. Hussein?
No comments.
Miss Adams?
New design for the lovely food you serve there. Good job.
Mr. Peters?
No comments.
Miss James?
Just wishing you luck because I really want my dinner at Republic. Sorry, I was a little late.
And I'll just say that it looks great and it's gonna be nice. That's a nice touch there, something a little different. So yeah, it looks great and looking forward to it. So at this point, Commission,
Yeah, I'll just move to approve the application submitted by Republic Restaurant owner 39 Jerome Ave Realty LLC for an enclosure to the existing patio based on the plans reviewed by the Design Review Board on July 6th with the following conditions. The building permits must be obtained prior to construction. Any changes to the plan needs to be reviewed by the Director of Building and Land Use, and who may refer the plans back to TPZ if deemed substantial. And dated on July 21st, 2023 by the Director of Plan and of the Building and Land Use, Justin LaFontaine. And with the slight omission of the signage that was incorrectly mentioned in the letter.
I'll second.
been moved in second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstention? The chair votes aye. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, next item. Last but not least, staff updates.
All right, I'm gonna keep this as short as humanly possible.
Thank you.
2 things. First is, did anybody give any thought to who wants to serve on the Wetlands Commission? Because remember, we have 2 appointees. Katie is one, Barry was the other. So someone needs to take that role. We don't need to decide tonight, but if anybody is just itching to join Wetlands, or if anybody has thoughts, but otherwise it can wait till next time.
Justin, would you mind if I made a little pitch for Wetlands?
Go for it.
In case someone doesn't know, I think it's great to be on both because you're a liaison from zoning to wetlands. And if one person can't be there to hear the conversation, another person usually is. And I think it's important to have the insight as to what the wetlands discussions were, because they can potentially, you could see unintended consequences if you know how to read maps, but more it's context for zoning and where resources between the two. So I just think it's a valuable thing if someone's going to consider it. And if you want to talk to me about it more, just reach out and I'd be really happy to share some more.
Oh, great. Thank you. You muted, Justin.
Thank you. And last thing, tonight's agenda was very long. We had quite a few applications on it. Is there any interest in the future in limiting the number of applications that can be on any agenda? In the past, I haven't wanted to slow down development and things. But I think sometimes there's just too many applications that go through. So I'm open to thoughts on that.
I have thoughts. I really appreciated that you streamlined a lot of the applications tonight. I thought it was going to be a much longer meeting, and I'm glad that we were able to table a few things, because if we weren't, then it would have been
Midnight.
far too long.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know that we've been trying to be more customer friendly to our applicants, especially when they meet most of the, requirements. And I think I was surprised that tonight, even though they seem very straightforward, we had a lot of robust discussion about certain things. But I don't know. It would probably be good to limit the number of items. I don't think 10 is a good number. I think less than 10 is a better number, maybe even 7. But I'd like to hear what other commissioners think.
I think 9 is too much. We should certainly think about a number that makes sense, so that if we're here from 7 to 10:30 right about now, seems a good time.
Right about now.
I don't know. Here till midnight on Zoom, it's just horrendous for me. When are we meeting in person again? This is killing me.
Why is it killing you? Do I?
You need to get out the house.
You know what? I miss seeing you, Katie, in person. I miss seeing you in person.
Just to follow up on what Katie said too.
He needed an excuse.
But I think what Katie hits on the head, listen, in 3.5 hours, honestly, we could have hit all of these if the applicants were more prepared, if they presented drawings and sketches that we can show and answer. So Justin, I think we can be efficient if they can be efficient. So I think a lot of the questions with screening and showing a landscape elevation and stuff like that, the more prepared they are, the more effective and efficient we can be, right? Like, again, nothing against some of the applicants, but like Katie's saying, if they're unprepared, they don't have a site plan, they don't have the numbers, it makes us hard for us. I mean, you've been doing a great job of presenting some stuff for us. So I think what you could do, one thing that you could see, this, as you can see, this commission is very different than maybe some of the ones you've had in the past. But the more data, the better, and it makes it easier for us. So I think the more that the applicant can be prepared with information, including visual, 3-dimensional views, because there's a lot of CAD that allows that now. I think it'd be easier for us to process as much as you want in 3.5 hours.
I think that's a really good point.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, you can go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
No, I was just gonna say, I like the 10:30 deadline. I think right where we are now is like the longest we should go. And I think
Ever.
Yeah, I think that's the longest. And I think, you should have a pretty good idea when you put together the agenda, what you think can get us close to that, but not over that. And then I think, unless it's a super priority, that's, other than that, maybe you can have a discussion with an applicant and just let them know, based on our new timeframes, you may or may not, be on this month, or however you want to do it, but 10:30 should be the latest.
That makes sense to me. And Kevin, your point with the elevation drawings and whatnot, I think that's great. And, at some point, my goal is to have quite a few regulation amendments to sort of bring us up to, speed with everything. We can start requiring that for larger scale developments, which I think would be helpful too.
Absolutely. My only concern though, Mr. Chair, is that the 10:30, I love it, and I agree with all you guys. It's like golf, right after, 3.5 hours, you're kind of done. The problem is that if we have public comments though,
Yeah, that's a good
we're going
point.
till midnight.
Yeah.
So that's the challenge where we have to balance out, right? Because even wetlands, I think, Katie, we did 5 hours the other day, right? For that big, that warehouse property, and even TPZ, we did 5 hours the other night. We did midnight. So it's
Yeah,
when
yeah.
public comments come in, that's where we get.
Well,
have to
maybe we don't
That's
have it
just planning.
carved in
That's-
stone.
Right.
Yeah, and if there is times for an exception, then, certainly we'll make that.
Yeah, I think that that's just part of smart planning. And Justin can always reach out to us via email and say, hey, we've gotten a lot of communication from residents about a certain thing. How would you feel about structuring, the agenda a certain way or having a special meeting on something that's big?
Mm,
I think that makes sense too, if we know
Yeah.
something is going to be very controversial.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and give ourselves time to really consider something instead of putting a lot of pressure on us. I mean, we've got new members now. Welcome. It's wonderful to meet you.
Oh, I know, I know.
Leon.
This is Mr. Peters, Leon's first night. Renee, last month was hers, so,
Yeah.
welcome aboard.
So, we've got some flexibility. I'm only an alternate and so is Mike Oliver. But, if we need to pull in alternates to make sure we have quorums for special meetings, let's make it as easy as we can on ourselves and be as responsible as we can to our constituents, I think it was a good agenda, but if we can finish sooner than 10:30, I would shoot for that as
Yeah.
often as possible.
I used to have dinners after TPC, and then I have
Oh,
Well, that's what I'm
after the
doing.
first few. I
Yeah,
have it before now.
I'm waiting to eat.
oh, geez. Well, if there's nothing else, then I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Well, no, I mean, I certainly know that wasn't meant to cut it off the discussion, but,
Yeah, yeah.
just saying with Kevin, maybe I might have to start doing that eating first.
One thing Mr. Chair, I'd like to add, as we're talking about new business, and I know you mentioned it to me and you probably forgot. I think for the start of the next meeting, just want to remember,
Oh, shoot, Barry.
Barry's.
Moment of silence, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I was going to ask about that too,
Yes.
and what the town may have done to honor him as well. I'd like to know what they
Yeah.
decide.
Yeah, definitely. So I've been talking with India Rogers about that. There are some thoughts to potentially name a bridge after him or something, given his engineering past. So we have to kind of narrow down a list of items that can be named, but that's the goal with that.
Well, he already got a street, Barry Circle.
He does?
I don't know if that's his street or not, I'm just saying.
Oh. Well, I'm not so sure he was fond of the bridge to the new library that's being planned. So we should probably take that one off the table. Oh, I'd love to do a moment of silence for Barry.
Can you remember, Justin, to just kind of put that at the top, and I'll make a note too. To make
Yes.
sure that that's the first order of business.
I'll put a note on my calendar for the next meeting. Yep.
Okay, and I'll do the
Great.
same. I'll make a note. Sorry about that. I did mention that twice.
Great.
That's all I had, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. At this point, if there's nothing else, we'll entertain that motion.
Moved.
You beat me, Dwight.
Okay.
That's
I
funny.
miss
Good
you
night,
too.
guys.
Have a good night,
Have a-
everyone.
Okay,
Good night, all.
yeah,
Night.
have a good one.
Thank you all.
You too. Good night. Night, Joyce.
Yeah.